welcome to part 1 of American comics from containment anomalies to great old ones. If you encounter any issues or have feedback, please let me know in the comments. Your input helps me improve, and I'm here to make sure you have the best experience possible. Enjoy the content.
Chapter 1. North American Gold Smuggling Waterway. On a huge and incomparably luxurious ship, a tall, handsome young man opened his eyes in a daze. He stared blankly at the large display screen in front of him. In his mind, floods of memories were constantly washing away, allowing him to understand his current situation. The good news is that I have traveled through time, and my family background is not bad. Just from this private and exclusive luxury yacht, I can tell a thing or two. The bad news is that I have time traveled into the dangerous world of American comics. The content of the TV news alone can explain everything. Tony Stark, head of Stark Industry, disappeared in the Middle East. The Sure Stark Industry Group publicly stated that the rescuer can get 1% of the stock of Sure Stark Industry. Captain America has been frozen for 67 years, and several expedition teams claim to have found his body, all of which were proved to be false. Watching the news scrolling on the screen in bursts, Jiang Bai couldn't help feeling a headache. In the American comics world, except for the Dragon Country where the Tianjin Bureau is located, there is almost no safe place in other countries in the world. And because of his identity as a smuggling family, if he took the courage to go to the Dragon Kingdom, in that minute, the Heavenly Sword Bureau found out his identity. Then he was locked up in prison until he died. In this dangerous world, not only does a prominent family not do itself any favors, instead, it increases the probability of being attacked by the villain superhero. Uncomfortable, in despair, just when Jiang Bai was looking forward to his next 100 different ways to die, a crisp sound resounded in Jiang Bai's ears. Beep. Congratulations to the host for successfully binding the SCP Foundation system. This system is dedicated to containing SCP abnormal objects scattered in the universe. Every time the host contains an abnormal object, it can increase its own strength. Remarks. If someone or an organization calls you the Lord of the Past, don't worry, because this means that you are gradually approaching your former crown. Remark 2. Our purpose is to contain, control, and protect. Jiang Bai. Looking at the light blue light curtain floating in front of him, Jiang Bai had an old trough in his heart, and he didn't know how to spit it out. The SCP Foundation. Could it be that indescribable thing from my previous life? The so-called SCP refers to a group of lunatics who try to use scientific means to explore and limit supernatural phenomena. They are well-organized and highly hierarchical, as the first and last line of defense for human SAN values. Always be active and fight where ordinary people are destined not to see. Jiang Bai in his previous life was once very keen on this weird thing. Not only has it been researched specifically, but even the official software has been downloaded. It was originally a leisurely move to satisfy curiosity, but the result was unexpected. After traveling through the world of American comics, this thing actually exists. Oh, shit. It's a crazy world. Beep. In view of the host's initial binding system, the system automatically provides supplementary instructions. Explanation 1. As the president of the SCP Foundation, you have the highest authority of the Foundation. You can randomly select an area as the location of the headquarters to contain abnormal objects. In the headquarters, you can suppress most of the abnormal objects. Remarks. How dare you come to my territory? You are really asking for your own death. Explanation 2. The only common currency in this system is the SAN value currency. The higher the SAN value, the more stable your anchor point based on reality will be. The lower the SAN value is, you will lose your reality anchor point and gradually go crazy. Remarks. It is undoubtedly a good way to confirm your name every day. Explanation 3. The more people in the world fear you, the more stable your reality-based anchor will be. Remarks. Where there is something to say, it must be known. Anyone who knows your real name will be locked by your will, and you can use the flame as a carrier to teleport your mind at any time. Here are the novice rewards. Reward 1. Randomly light up the SCPs in the surrounding area once. Reward 2. Old compass. It will automatically find the location of the nearest SCP project nearby. Reward 3. A well-equipped nine-tailed fox task force. This unit has been watched by the old one and has super vitality and action ability after reading this series of introductions. Jiang Bai couldn't help but secretly speechless. Good guy, look at this posture. This is obviously the strengthening upgrade version after SCP and Cthulhu integrate. Not to mention the nine-tailed fox task force. As the first-line combat force of SCP, its strength already surpassed that of elite troops. Now, the blessing of the Lord of the Old Days has been added. How terrifying is the combat power that can be displayed? That even I don't know. Not to mention, this terrifying buff that everyone who has something to say must be known. This means that I can create an invisible intelligence network at any time. Wait till the whole world knows your name. Then as long as there are people, there will be no secrets at all. Powerful. This is simply too strong. Just when Jiang Bai's heart was surging, suddenly, an extremely old voice sounded from behind. Master, I have already found the bodyguard you need for you. It was the old butler Simon who spoke. As a loyal servant of the family, Simon watched Jiang Bai grow up. It belongs to the existence that can go through fire and water for Jiang Bai at any time. Behind him stood two tall, beautiful women with delicate faces. The former was wearing a tight black battle suit, showing off her perfect figure, a charming blonde beauty. The latter is a tall and cool black-haired beauty in a red slit skirt and black lace stockings. And after seeing the faces of the two women clearly, the expression on Jiang Bai's face instantly became weird. Isn't this G Natasha Romanoff and Ida Wong? How could they appear here? The end. Chapter 2. Chapter 2. It seems to have noticed Jiang Bai's slightly confused gaze. The old butler Simon said solemnly, Master, please allow me to introduce these two ladies to you. This is Natasha Romanoff. Romanoff, as the leader of the former Big Mao Agent Red House Agent Training Camp, has unparalleled fighting skills and is worthy of your trust. Jiang Bai. The other is your distant cousin Ada Wong, who has undergone very strict spy training and possesses a powerful anti-reconnaissance ability, so she can face various easy situations with ease. I think, with the blessing of blood, I can be your confidant. Jiang Bai. Looking at the serious expression on the old butler Simon's face, Jiang Bai's face darkened slightly, and he didn't know what to say for a while. If it weren't for Simon's character, he would have sufficient trust. Jiang Bai even had some doubts whether Simon had been instigated. From the perspective of the lineup, 4SHIELD, a force that focuses on smuggling arms and developing genetic medicines. It can be described as a natural opposition. So, Natasha Romanoff's appearance. That's definitely not a good fart. As for King Ada, there is no need to say more. As the most mysterious existence in the Resident Evil series, no one has ever known the identity and position of King Ada, but one thing is for certain. That is, from beginning to end, she does not belong to anyone. For a while, Jiang Bai suddenly had a feeling of sympathy for Jin. Damn it, with all the staff undercover. Suppose you are a wine bottle. So now there is not a drop of wine in this wine bottle. The whole G water. At this moment, the charming Natasha Romanoff also came to Jiang Bai's side and said with a charming face, Master, if there is anything you don't understand in the future, you can ask me anytime. No matter what time it is, I will have time to give you private lessons. The teasing in it, combined with that exquisite appearance, produced unparalleled lethality. King Ada beside him was watching all this with interest. It seems that this is the first time I have seen such a scratchy thing. On the other hand, Jiang Bai's face was calm, and he even wanted to laugh in his heart. Judging from the current situation, if there is no surprise, my pharmaceutical group may have been completely infiltrated by SHIELD and the Umbrella Company. This is thanks to the fact that he activated the SCP system. Otherwise, I don't know when I will be sold. Thinking of this, Jiang Bai suddenly lost his mood. He waved his hand and said, Go down and rest first. After Jiang Bai sent the two girls away, Jiang Bai called Simon and said carefully, Say, is there a possibility for me to add a few more female bodyguards? Jiang Bai knew very well in his heart that with the backgrounds of these two women, it was easier to please God than to send God away. Even if they knew that the two of them were ghosts, there is no way to blow them away easily. After all, once being targeted by SHIELD and Umbrella Corporation, being infiltrated is a matter of time. It seems that the young master doesn't like these two flavors? Simon said in a suddenly realized tone, Master, don't worry, besides these two, there is actually another applicant. You will be able to meet us when we return to China. Her name is Jill Valentine. She can effectively use various thermal weapons. She is also an expert lockpicker and has full experience in bomb disposal. While talking, Simon took out the display screen and called up the photo of the other party. When Jiang Bai saw it, his face turned completely dark. Good guy. It really is the Lord. As a member of the Alpha Team of Stars, Raccoon City's Special Forces, all of Jill's life experiences can be summed up in one sentence. That is the feud with the Umbrella Company, and return his mother's blood feud. Well, happy. This is simply too much fun. Daring to love my own company has turned into an undercover brawl. While being very tired, Jiang Bai also became a little curious about the company his father left him. What kind of power is it? Will it provoke these three great gods to come over? But then again, now that there are three major forces lurking around him at the same time, well, that means the other party must have plotted against him. Therefore, before the other party's goal has not been achieved, be sure to be absolutely safe. Continue to think about whether you can use the spy attributes of these three people. How about augmenting your reality anchor? I just need to constantly enhance the mystery of my identity. Then the three women will definitely continue to constantly report the situation here to the forces behind them. In this case, these three major forces are not only not minds to themselves. On the contrary, it is a powerful scoring tool like a silly white sweet. For a moment, Jiang Bai's mood became cheerful again. Just when Jiang Bai was imagining a bright future, all of a sudden, an extremely crisp notification sounded quietly in Jiang Bai's ear. Beep, an abnormal containment object has been detected nearby. Starting to extract abnormal object data, the analysis is complete. The abnormal containment object this time is SCP-444, the coffin puppet. Warned, the distance between the opponent and our side is getting closer. With the system's crisp sound, the prompt sounded. Jiang Bai can see very clearly. On the sea as far as the eye can see, an extremely dilapidated wooden boat was constantly floating over with the current. Jiang Bai could clearly see that on this wooden boat, there was a huge and gorgeous coffin. The end. Chapter 3. Third chapter. Seeing this scene, Jiang Bai's pupils shrank slightly. The body subconsciously took a step back. As we all know, any anomalous objects of the SCP Foundation, if one counts as one, there is no one to mess with. Plus that weird way of triggering death. It often takes a large number of human lives to know the specific method of detention. Almost without the slightest hesitation, Jiang Bai said in a deep voice, "System, I choose this ship as headquarters. According to the description of the system, I can designate a place at will to become SCP headquarters. As a result, it has a terrifying suppression effect on most of the abnormal items, although the degree of suppression is not known. But after all, it can bring yourself some sense of security." Beep. Headquarters created successfully. Under the cold notification sound of the system, a light blue halo that only Jiang Bai could observe swept across the entire hull. Beep. You have successfully obtained the subspace containment room, and no other creature can enter unless you allow it. Beep. You have successfully obtained the gene reincarnation pool, but all Foundation members who died in battle will be reincarnated in the gene pool, and the reincarnation cycle is 1 week. Beep. You have successfully obtained holographic surveillance, and any place on the ship is within your perception range. Ta-ta-ta. In the sound of uniform footsteps, a group of well-armed men with a nine-tailed fox engraved on their vests came to Jiang Bai in a uniform order and said in a deep voice, "President, I am waiting for your order at any time." Looking at the members of the nine-tailed fox task force in front of him, Jiang Bai couldn't help but nodded secretly. The elite is worthy of being an elite. From the perspective of aura alone, without hundreds of fights, they wouldn't be able to gather together. Watching the dilapidated wooden boat approaching, Jiang Bai narrowed his eyes slightly and said, "What's our slogan? Contain, contain, protect?" Very good. Jiang Bai waved his hand and said in a deep voice, "Go, bring this abnormal item to me."
Yes.
Following Jiang Bai's order, the nine-tailed fox members immediately started the helicopter on the deck. He rushed towards the direction of the wooden boat. For the safety of the members of the nine-tailed fox task force, Jiang Bai wasn't very worried. Anyway, there is a gene reincarnation pool. You can continue to resurrect constantly. The only caveat is, the nine-tailed fox cannot be wiped out all at once. Otherwise, Jiang Bai will face the embarrassing situation where no one is available within a week. This is not the result Jiang Bai wants to see. I thought something unexpected would happen next. Unexpectedly, the entire recycling process went very smoothly. Bang! There was a dull loud noise. An extremely damp ornate coffin was placed next to Jiang Bai by helicopter. I don't know if it was soaked in seawater for too long, or it was thrown too hard. Jiang Bai noticed very keenly. The coffin lid was clearly showing signs of loosening. It seems that as long as you use your strength, you can open it at any time. At this moment, Natasha, Romanoff, and King Ada also noticed the movement here. Under the leadership of Simon, They came to the deck again. Look at the ornate coffins on the deck. Natasha Romanoff was slightly stunned. Oh God, who can tell me? What is this thing? Simon had a gentle face and said calmly, there is no doubt that this is the young master's trophy, isn't it? For Master Jiang Bai, every voyage of his can be called a rewarding experience. Natasha Romanoff was a little speechless. So, even a coffin? Yes, even a coffin. Natasha Romanoff. Good guy. Look at this confident posture. If you don't pick up the money when you go out, you will lose it, right? On the other hand, King Ada, after noticing the bloody lines on the coffin, as if thinking of something, she came to Jiang Bai's side calmly, making a posture of protecting at any time. Shit, how did I forget this one? Natasha Romanoff reacted quickly. This is the best opportunity to show loyalty. Immediately, she also rushed over. Along with King Ada, he appeared on the left and right of Jiang Bai to protect Jiang Bai. And under close observation, Natasha Romanoff can also feel it very clearly. That monstrous murderous aura from the nine-tailed fox. This made Natasha Romanoff secretly shocked. There is no doubt that these are elite fighters who have experienced many battles. Even she couldn't see the details of these silent, strong men clearly. And it gave her this feeling last time. It was the super soldier who was injected with super serum in World War II. For a moment, Natasha Romanoff couldn't be calm for a long time. What are the origins of these people? As opposed to Natasha Romanoff, who was making waves in her heart, Jiang Bai looked calm and told the nine-tailed fox task force, open this coffin for me. Now wish, sir. Following Captain Nine-tailed Fox's slight effort, the seemingly heavy coffin lid was raised with a gap. Then, it was completely opened. And when everyone saw the scene inside clearly, one counts as one, and they are all shocked in place. Inside the coffin lay a delicate woman quietly. The long silver hair like a tide was laid quietly inside the coffin. She was dressed in grand medieval court attire, with a serene face. It's like a perfect doll. No. King Ada shrank his pupils slightly and said softly, she's a puppet. And after hearing what King Ada said, the puppet seemed to respond, and the fingers made of joints moved unconsciously. Afterwards, calm was completely restored. Although this movement is very small, but it was still keenly noticed by Jiang Bai. So, is this a living puppet? After realizing this situation, Jiang Bai narrowed his eyes slightly. His face became the serious end. Chapter 4. Next, information about this puppet. It also appeared in Jiang Bai's mind. Unusual item, 444, coffin doll, a gorgeous wooden box that looks like a coffin with a sleeping puppet inside, similar in size to a human. When the abnormality is closed, it is in two states of consciousness and unconsciousness. Once observed, the coffin will switch to the state selected by the observer. Containment method. When the observer determines that it is in an unconscious state, the 444 anomaly must be placed in an environment with continuous light, and it will disappear every 2 days. An observer is required to say, this is an unconscious puppet. This method needs to convince the observer that this is indeed an unconscious puppet, otherwise it will be gradually puppetized. When the observer determines that he is in a conscious state, the observer must keep number 444 active and stay in the same room with it within 12 hours, and then change the observer. Experiments have shown that within the error time of 5 minutes, leaving early or leaving later will cause the puppet to lose control, and the selected observer will quickly become a puppet and lose his life. Remark 1. If the observation is carried out under the condition of multiple people, the one with the closest distance is the first-level observation object. Remark 2. In the case where the observer is a robot, after the time exceeds, it will still be a puppet, and it is judged as the law of causality and death, after reading the containment conditions. Jiang Bai narrowed his eyes slightly. I began to calculate quickly in my heart. First, judge from the distance. No one thinks that he is a first-level observer object. So, that is, you need to keep the other person active. Otherwise, I will definitely fall into the law of karma and death. Even though he is within the headquarters, he can suppress most abnormal items. But who can guarantee whether this coffin doll belongs to that small group? Thinking of this, Jiang Bai looked serious and said to the puppet, I think you are alive. Would you like to have a conversation with me? The puppet is unresponsive. Natasha Romanoff's gaze was a little strange. You said that she is alive if she is alive? Could it be that you are God? Seeing the puppet beauty did not react at all. Jiang Bai frowned slightly, waved his big hand and said, throw this coffin back into the water. Yes, sir. Jiang Bai's idea is very simple, since the other party is unwilling to speak. Then he doesn't mind exerting some means. If this method does not work, then he will take other methods. Rumble. As the helicopter took off, soon the coffin was thrown into the water. Can wait until the helicopter flies back. The driver's pupils shrank slightly and said in a deep voice, "Sir, that coffin has reappeared at the stern." At the stern, Jiang Bai looked at the lost coffin expressionlessly. At this moment, the water marks on the surface of the coffin and the strangle marks on the cables all illustrate a situation. This coffin was indeed thrown into the water just now. Oh, God. What the hell is going on? At this moment, Natasha Romanoff's 3 views have also been impacted. She opened the coffin in disbelief. The puppet inside was still lying in the coffin with a peaceful expression. The only difference is neatness relative to first observation. This time, the doll's gothic dress was obviously stained with water, and on her face, there was a hint of a smile that was not a smile. It's chilling. Facing this weird situation, Natasha Romanoff felt a slight chill in her heart for a moment. She just saw it very clearly. The helicopter dropped the coffin a kilometer away. The result was less than 30 seconds. The coffin reappeared at the stern of this boat again. Could it be that this is some kind of supernatural phenomenon? No. It seems that this matter must be reported to Dantu immediately. Thinking of this, Natasha Romanoff turned on the micro-video recorder quietly. But she didn't know that under the blessing of the system, as long as Jiang Bai is willing, he can easily perceive anywhere on the ship, even a model of a Natasha Romanoff miniature video recorder. He understands everything clearly, but he just doesn't know. How did this coffin doll get on board? Jiang Bai stared at the coffin for a long time. Suddenly he laughed and said, "I suddenly want to know how you got on the boat. Throw it down for her again." As the nine-tailed fox faithfully carried out this order, Jiang Bai didn't stay idle either. Instead, he took another helicopter and rose above the hull, quietly watching the coffin drifting with the tide. King Ada next to him asked rarely, "Master, what is your purpose for doing this?" "It's very simple," Jiang Bai said calmly. "I want to communicate with her, but she doesn't seem to want to communicate with me. In this case, I can only find another way to forcibly establish a communication relationship with her." Listen to this seemingly understandable words. King Ada thought about it for a long time, and then asked aloud, "So, young master, you mean that she is very dangerous?" "Yes," Jiang Bai said seriously. "She is very dangerous, so dangerous that she will kill you all without your knowing it at any time." Suddenly, Captain Nine-Tailed Fox said in a deep voice, "Sir, the coffin has changed?" Jiang Bai and the 2 women were shocked, and they subconsciously looked in the direction of the coffin. But when everyone saw the scene over there clearly, 1 counts as 1, and the expressions on their faces all become weird. In his sight, the coffin, like a speedboat riding the wind and waves, was moving fast towards him, and the puppet, which is so exquisite that it can be called a work of art, is holding huge amounts of coffin boards, bowing left and right, acting as wood pulp, and paddling desperately. The previous elegance is gone. The rest is only evil. How wicked. At this moment, Jiang Bai finally understood how the other party came back. But even so, he still feels shocked by the big hand.
The end.
Chapter 5. Please subscribe. Puppet Sister Who Rides the Wind and Waves? Jiang Bai felt that he would never forget such a weird scene for the rest of his life. On the eerie and dangerous rootless sea, a doll in medieval attire sits in his coffin and rides the wind and waves with huge amounts of coffin boards in his arms. I didn't expect the anomaly number 444 to be such a ghost. Jiang Bai imagined many ways for the opponent to chase the ship, but he never imagined such a scene. Seeing the momentum of the coffin puppet swinging the coffin boards to overwhelm the sea, Jiang Bai silently commented in his heart, "It's a fight with Lin Daiyu and pulling out weeping willows upside down." Natasha Romanoff on the side has a small mouth and has not recovered from the shock at all. She watched the scene at sea in disbelief. For a while, I don't know whether to be shocked by the fact that the doll can move, or by the fact that the doll is swinging the coffin board to scratch the coffin. It's just too wicked and weird. Ada Wong at the moment thoughtful. Just now Jiang Bai said that this puppet is very dangerous and can kill them at any time. Such a dangerous foreign object, Master, Bah. Why does Jiang Bai still try to communicate with her? Just when everyone was stunned. The coffin figure was almost at the surface of the sea under the stern. Despite paddling with huge amounts of coffin boards, she paddled surprisingly fast. With the huge amounts of coffin under the blessing of her coffin board, It is not weaker than the speedboat at all. In the blink of an eye, the puppet has reached the stern. Looking at the tall hull, she threw the coffin board into the coffin. Then he stepped forward and grabbed the anchor hook on and off the boat. Started to climb up quickly, flexible and light, as if flying straight up. And the coffin on the sea also floated beside her. It's like losing weight. The coffin can fly? Why do you need to paddle here? Is it a hobby? Jiang Bai looked at the doll and seemed to think of something in his heart, and a weird smile appeared from the corner of his mouth. At this time, the puppet at the moment had already climbed onto the stern, and the coffin beside him also floated up. After coming up, the coffin seemed to find a flat place to land spiritually. After the puppet came up, it turned its head and looked around. After seeing that there was no one, it quickly wrung out its soaked clothes. Then he quickly crawled into the coffin with hands and feet. Jiang Bai took pictures with the camera and complained, afraid of being seen by others. How shy? The rowing posture just now was really not elegant. It's not good to be seen. But I've already photographed it. Jiang Bai smiled and jumped off the helicopter. Walked towards the gorgeous and wet coffin on the deck. The puppet does not know that Jiang Bai has been watching. After she lay down, she breathed a humane sigh of relief. It seemed to feel safe at last. Put the smile on your face just now. Pulling up the coffin board is about to cover the head. Just halfway through the draw, a hand was suddenly extended to the owner of the card. The puppet's movements froze instantly, and she turned her head alternately. But he saw a young man with a strange smile on his face staring at him. Jiang Bai held the camera in one hand and stuck the coffin board in the other, thinking of the past life's stalk in his heart. Miss Doll, you don't want others to know what you were like just now, do you? Shaking his head, Jiang Bai pushed the coffin board away, pulled out the puppet inside and asked, "Why do you want to get on the boat again and again?" The puppet's body trembled violently. It was unknown whether it was frightened by Jiang Bai or something else. He stammered and said, "Under the sea, there is a monster. The monster is about to wake up. Help me. It's dangerous. I'm in danger. Wait for him to wake up. I'm dangerous. You too? Monster?" Jiang Bai was curious and expectant. What monster? No, I don't know. Where is the monster? There. The two chatted for a while. Jiang Bai squeezed the space between his eyebrows. The conversation was a bit uncomfortable. But after all, he got the location information of the monster in the puppet's mouth. After marking the location, Nine-Tailed Fox immediately lowered the submarine and swam towards the designated location. After experiencing heavy water, the submarine stopped at a huge amounts of ice. Is it here? A Nine-Tailed Fox compared the marked locations. Suddenly his eyes lit up. It's nearby. Drip, drop, drop. Amidst the rapid mechanical sounds, everyone looked forward with smiles on their faces. Here's another coffin. Could this be the monster in the doll's mouth? It looks like it's been frozen. Looking at the ice coffin, Jiang Bai always felt a little familiar. Closer. The submarine slowly approached the ice coffin and waited until it was next to the ice coffin. Jiang Bai's pupils dilated slowly, and he looked at the figures inside the ice coffin in shock. How could it be him? In his eyes, the first thing that catches his eyes is the frozen person in the ice coffin. This man is very strong in stature, with a well-proportioned figure, and he is wearing a military uniform that looks like the last century. Although he couldn't see his face clearly, there was something more recognizable than his face beside him. Shield. And it's a red and blue circular shield. In the center of the shield is a silver star. Did not expect. The person in the ice coffin was Captain America, who had been frozen for 67 years. The end. Chapter 6. Chapter 6. You lost Captain America as soon as you scooped it up? Natasha Romanoff, who was standing next to Jiang Bai, froze for a moment when she saw the unusually familiar dress in the ice coffin. Isn't this the super soldier SHIELD has been looking for decades? A first-level task has been suspended in the Bureau for decades. According to the intelligence instructions, didn't he say that he crashed in Beiyang? How did it appear here? And what about this coffin? Could it be that after Captain America fell into the sea, someone still collected his body? Jiang Bai also looked confused at the moment. Relying on the holographic monitoring ability endowed by the system, the subtle facial expressions of Natasha Romanoff were successfully captured by Jiang Bai. There is SHIELD's well-known Black Widow agent to testify. Then the people in this ice coffin can be hammered for real. It is the Captain America team. I didn't expect to contain an anomaly and even fish this guy up. What is this called? But ignorance is only temporary. Black Widow can run under his own hands as a spy. What is it to get Captain America? Immediately, Jiang Bai looked at the ice coffin in front of him with great interest and turned to the coffin puppet and asked, "To be reasonable, you are an anomaly. No matter how fierce this guy is, he is still a stronger human being, and he is still in a frozen state. Are you afraid of him?" Well, the puppet's extremely simulated face was stained with blush, rubbed the corners of the clothes with its small hands, and lowered its head and replied, "Although she is an anomaly, in the final analysis, she is still a little girl. This person looks very fierce, and he has a very murderous aura on him, so it's no wonder that he is not afraid." Oh? Little girl? Still a family? Is this still a notorious anomaly? Tang SCP-444. The coffin doll still has this unknown side? Jiang Bai completely lived in Bengbu. But soon, Jiang Bai reacted. According to the system, once the coffin doll is observed, it will automatically switch to the state selected by the observer. Because of the distance, Jiang Bai became a first-level observer. As a matter of course, the coffin doll will change according to Jiang Bai's consciousness. As for Jiang Bai, the moment he saw the puppet, he subconsciously thought of Xiangling, the chef of Liue Wanmintang in the Tibet world, Xiangling, who takes a doll bear all over the world to find ingredients on weekdays. At the same time, she is also the little girl who is called a coward by Liue Funeral Industry, Hu Tao, the master of the Hall of Rebirth. So the coffin doll has become the character it is now. So it's not that the coffin doll is weak, but that he himself, "Sir, what do you plan to do with this ice coffin? Do you want to contain it together?" Just as Jiang Bai was thinking of a way to blame himself, Captain Nine-Tailed Fox, who was standing by, asked aloud. They are not from this world, so naturally they don't know the identity of the characters in the ice coffin. So he subconsciously classified Captain America as an anomaly. After all, this is the existence that even SCP-444 fears. How to deal with? Jiang Bai touched his chin. For now, the best way to deal with it is definitely to take Captain America under its command. After all, Captain America is a man who claims to be 50-50 with everything. When encountering biological anomalies in the future, Captain America will definitely be stronger than Nine-Tailed Fox. But considering the status of Captain America, Jiang Bai had to give up this attractive option. There will be spies from the three parties around him, so it makes no sense to add one more. Tangled for a long time, Jiang Bai sighed, "Throw it back." Yes. Throw it back? Natasha Romanoff, who has been managing her facial expressions, is anxious. This is Captain America, the person that SHIELD has been looking for so long but has not found. Still the most perfect super soldier ever. Whether it is put into actual combat or used for research, it is an existence of extraordinary significance. Just throw it away? Natasha Romanoff raised her eyebrows slightly and hurriedly said, "Master Jiang, don't worry. I seem to have seen this person somewhere. Can you give me some time for me to think about it?" "Oh, you know him? You guys, don't rush to throw him back." Seeing that Natasha Romanoff wanted to act, Jiang Bai naturally cooperated with all his strength in order not to expose himself, and immediately ordered Nine-Tailed Fox to stop what he was doing. Seeing that Jiang Bai could listen to her own words, Natasha Romanoff felt a little relieved and pretended to be thinking hard. When King Ada began to show an impatient look, Natasha Romanoff finally showed a look of enlightenment. "Oh, I remembered. This is Captain America, the superhero of our beautiful country. Yes, that's him." Captain America? When you say that, I seem to have a little impression. Are you sure? It can't be some fanatic pretending to be it? Jiang Bai's current identity is also from the United States of America. In theory, he should know the existence of Captain America, so there is no need to pretend that he does not know him at all. Sure, he's definitely Captain America. I've seen this face since I was a child, and I still have posters of him in my house. I'm sure I won't admit it. Natasha Romanoff nodded very positively. It turned out to be the legendary Captain America. We are so lucky. Hearing what Natasha Romanoff said, Jiang Bai leaned closer to the coffin with an excited expression and began to examine it carefully. Just when Natasha Romanoff thought she had convinced Jiang Bai not to throw Captain America back into the sea. Okay, since it's Captain America, then throw it back? Yes. As an SCP Special Combat Force, Nine-Tailed Fox never asks why, and only faithfully implements all orders from its superiors. Hearing Jiang Bai's command of throw it back again, he carried it out decisively. No, young Master Jiang, this is Captain America. Throw it back? Are you serious? Natasha Romanoff was completely stunned. Knowing it was Captain America, you still want to throw it? Be sick. Natasha Romanoff, let me ask you, what are we doing? Without stopping the nine-tailed fox, Jiang Bai looked at the sea with his hands behind his back and asked, "We are a smuggling ring." Natasha Romanoff didn't know why Jiang Bai suddenly asked this question and subconsciously replied, "Then what does he do?" Jiang Bai continued to ask, "The captain of the beautiful country, the spiritual symbol of the beautiful country, a national war hero, a military super soldier, the embodiment of justice." In order to prevent Captain America from returning to the sea, Natasha Romanoff added the title to Captain America as much as possible. Yes, he is the embodiment of justice. Hearing the words he wanted to hear, Jiang Bai clapped his hands suddenly. As a smuggling group, is it possible for us to go all the way with him? Once you let him know the content of our work, do you want me to kill him, or do you want him to kill me? In order not to have such a painful ending, throw it away and it's over. Plop. The moment Jiang Bai's words fell to the ground, the ice coffin completely sank into the sea. Natasha Romanoff moved her lips, but couldn't hold back a word. There is nothing wrong with this reason. Anyway, it has been frozen for so many years, and it's not bad for these few days. Sorry for my mission, Captain America. The
End.
Chapter 7. American Comics Chapter 7. Jiang Bai is leisurely waiting for Nine-Tailed Fox to complete the task. Behind Natasha Romanoff and King Ada looked at each other secretly. The two stepped back quietly. King Ada frowned and said in a low voice, "Have you noticed? There is a problem with this unit." "Well, I also found out." When Jiang Bai said, "Throw it back," the normal logic should be to throw it back casually, but they are meticulously implementing the operation that was salvaged before. And most importantly, I didn't see any actions of these soldiers watching the video. That is to say, these people completely remembered everything they did half an hour ago. What kind of troops have this kind of action ability? Have you heard of it? The more the two communicated, the more frightened they became. They are all agents sent by large organizations. It cannot be said that they have seen all the top troops in the world, but they have almost heard of them. But when the two compared the information in their memories, they suddenly found out in horror that not only had they never heard of the Nine-Tailed Fox unit in front of them, but even the organization behind them had never heard of this team. It's as if it appeared out of nowhere. Standing in front of the two, Jiang Bai suddenly discovered that eavesdropping is such an addictive thing. Especially listening to the two beauties guessing his identity made Jiang Bai feel inexplicably ecstatic. No, the great cause has not been accomplished. How can she act like a little girl? Jiang Bai hurriedly shook his head vigorously. If he was not afraid of pain, he would have slapped himself twice to wake himself up. Little did he know that this move further deepened the suspicion of the two women behind him. After all, in the eyes of the two women, Jiang Bai stood alone for a long time, and suddenly shook his head. No matter how he looked, he didn't look like a normal person. "Sir, the ice coffin has been thrown back successfully. Please instruct me on what to do next." Captain Nine-Tailed Fox walked up to Jiang Bai skillfully and saluted Jiang Bai. "That's right. Send this 444 into the containment room. Be careful, two people must take turns to keep an eye on her." The coffin doll who has been silent beside him is Jiang Bai's favorite character. But no, this guy is exceptional. One day, if one of them doesn't pay attention, they will die unexpectedly. Definitely contain it. After informing the captain of the information about the coffin dolls obtained from the system, Jiang Bai waved his hands, ready to leave the place. "I'll give you two a night to think about whether to continue following me. You've also seen that my job is not as simple as you know." Passing by Natasha Romanoff and Ada Wong, Jiang Bai deliberately stopped and stared at the two of them. If he could just send the two dangerous elements back like this, Jiang Bai would probably wake up laughing from his dreams. "Master Jiang, don't worry, these things are not enough to scare me." Natasha Romanoff was the first to shake her head. "Just one night after I came here, I discovered the traces of Captain America through Jiang Bai and even found a troop that had never been known to the world. How could I just leave in the face of such a big temptation? Cousin, don't be nervous. I've seen dangerous creatures before. That puppet is not worth mentioning." On the surface, Ada Wong is Jiang Bai's distant cousin, and she speaks more casually. These words made Jiang Bai very painful. "Not worth mentioning? You try to put the tyrant in front of 444. As long as the condition is triggered, you will be given a second. Forget it. You two should think about it carefully." Jiang Bai shook his head, turned, and left directly. Just as Jiang Bai left, Natasha Romanoff's expression flickered with confusion, and she slowly moved to the stern. Looking at the sea, Natasha Romanoff gritted her teeth and jumped straight down. As long as you don't hinder your own mission, Captain America, it's time to save it. In the seabed, after finally finding Captain America's ice coffin, Natasha Romanoff decisively took out the hidden locator she was carrying and violently inserted it into the ice. With all this done, Natasha Romanoff quickly returned to the surface. But unexpectedly, because of the lack of oxygen, Natasha Romanoff did not choose a suitable landing point, but subconsciously chose to swim vertically to the sea. This choice happened to be the most dangerous place. Aft vortex. The powerful vortex engulfed Natasha Romanoff in an instant, driving her to spin continuously and instantly made Natasha Romanoff dizzy. Seeing that he was about to die, a wooden stick stretched out, and Natasha Romanoff subconsciously reached out to grab it. Shouldn't you just know? King Ada crossed his arms and looked at Natasha Romanoff, who was trembling in front of him with great interest. What do you want to do? Although the life was saved by King Ada, but now the position of the two is still undecided, Natasha Romanoff did not feel stupidly grateful, but replied coldly, I don't want to do anything. This is the camera you secretly installed in my bedroom before. I'll return it to you. The situation here is more complicated than we imagined, so I hope you don't disturb me and just do your own thing. Throwing down a tiny camera, Ada Wong turned and left. Natasha Romanoff, on the other hand, managed to hide her surprise while shivering from the cold. She didn't expect such a hidden method to be discovered by her. Sure enough, she is not an ordinary person, but right now Natasha Romanoff isn't delving into Ida King's mood. He hurriedly took out his communicator and uploaded the news from Captain America to SHIELD SHIELD headquarters here. Phil Coulson is chatting with Braised Egghead about work information. Ludanta's communicator rang, and after a casual glance, Ludanta stood up instantly. Head, what's the matter with you? Has something major happened? It was the first time for Phil Coulson to see the surprised expression of Braised Egghead, and he asked quite nervously, I didn't expect a smuggling group to give us a big gift. I'm just a little surprised. Braised Egghead chuckled and casually threw the communicator into Phil Coulson's hand. Found Captain America. Coordinates. This? Phil Coulson's expression was even more exaggerated than the previous Braised Egghead. Captain America, did you find it? Phil Coulson, you understand the importance of this matter. You will lead the team yourself in a while, and you must bring Captain America back to me safely. Do you understand? Yes. Phil Coulson immediately led his men to set off quickly. A Quinjet speeds across the night sky. Perceiving the locator placed by Natasha Romanoff, flight landed on the sea directly above the ice coffin. Looking for a target. Successfully found. The salvage work is progressing smoothly. Successful salvage. SHIELD moved quickly, and within 5 minutes of flying over, it successfully loaded the ice coffin into the fighter plane. It's just that the agents didn't notice that on the ice coffin, a blood-red mark flashed past as the ice coffin floated out of the sea. Both sides shared the same login details, so you don't need to sign up again.
The end?
Chapter 8. Chapter 8. The first collision between Braised Egghead and Jiang Bai. SHIELD headquarters. In the Trident building where the Scientific Research Department is located, Phil Coulson led his men into it with great interest, and his face was even more glorious when he saw the scientists lined up at the door to welcome him. After all, he brought Captain America back with his own hands. Seeing the appearance of Phil Coulson's team, the scientists who had been looking forward to it for a long time swarmed up and rushed directly in front of the ice coffin, quickly pushing Phil Coulson aside. But Phil Coulson didn't rise up, but looked at the lively scene in front of him with a smile, and said to his subordinates, I didn't expect that these scientists were also fans of Captain America. I really didn't realize this at ordinary times. It seems that I missed a lot. The men naturally knew why Phil Coulson said that. After all, their boss, Phil Coulson, grew up listening to the stories of Captain America and has always been a fan of Captain America since he was a child, dreaming of wanting Captain America's signature. Boss, when they unfreeze Captain America, don't you come over like a nympho? We can't afford to lose that guy. Yes, boss, please don't say you know us when the time comes, please. Facing the ridicule of his subordinates, Phil Coulson just smiled and said nothing. A bunch of little trash. I'm about to meet my idol. How can I care as much as you do? But soon, there was an embarrassing scene for Phil Coulson and his men. Those scientists, in front of Phil Coulson and his subordinates, started discussing about the Old Lord. I knew it. I knew that the Old Lord must be true. Praise the Lord of the old days. Without your care, when would we be able to find this frozen man? Someone said to me before that the Lord of the Old One doesn't exist, so slap me in the face. What is this? The Great Old Lord. A group of scientists gradually fell into madness. Phil Coulson's expression was a little awkward at first, but soon he frowned, turned around and asked his subordinates, "Old Lord? What is that? Have you heard of it?" "No. Maybe it's some kind of church?" "I've heard of it." The youngest member of the team raised his hand. "It's the so-called Cthulhu, a fictional ancient god. Fabricated?" Phil Coulson frowned again. The crazy scientists in front of him had nothing to do with the word fiction. Obviously serious. You few are optimistic about them. Absolutely don't let them do anything to Captain America. I will report to the director. With a vague premonition in his heart, Phil Coulson hastily told his subordinates, turned around and ran out of the building, towards the office where Braised Dantu was. Meanwhile, in Jiang Bai's luxurious villa, Jiang Bai, who had just returned home, had not had time to fully enjoy the luxury of the rich second generation when a series of reminders suddenly sounded in his mind. Congratulations to the name of the host being spread. Get 10 SAN points. Congratulations to the host for gaining the fear of the world and gaining 20 SAN points. A series of reminders are spreading and fearing. A total of 500 SAN value currency has been harvested. This confused Jiang Bai. He still hasn't fully figured out how the system works. System? What's going on? Everything seen and touched by the Lord of the Old will be marked with the Lord of the Old. Remarks. Whatever you say, you must be known. Although the system is talking about it, it is combined with the previous Captain America ice coffin. In a rough sense, it should be that I unconsciously imprinted the mark of the Old Master on Captain America's ice coffin. But now this imprint has been discovered, and through the imprint, some people know their existence. It's exciting to think about it. The transmission medium has been detected. Did the host choose to descend to consciousness? Consciousness coming? Jiang Bai touched his chin. Just a mark. Let yourself harvest 500. What if I come in person? And it's not just for the SAN value currency. Jiang Bai is also very curious about how this so-called consciousness descending works. Soul astral? Unable to restrain the curiosity in his heart, Jiang Bai decided to agree without thinking too much. Calm down. What are you talking about? The old one? Isn't that something a bunch of psychopaths scribbled on the internet? In Potato's office, Potato stared impatiently at Phil Coulson in front of him. I thought I was here to report the good news of Captain America's awakening, but I didn't expect it to be such a nonsense thing. A group of scientists actually went to believe in God? And is it an old god compiled by humans themselves? Director, things are not as simple as you imagined. The expressions of those scientists are not fake. They really believe in the existence of this old lord. Even I can see madness in their eyes. Phil Coulson shook his head and said with a serious face, "You sure?" Braised Egghead saw that Phil Coulson was not joking, and his expression gradually became calm. But deep down, Braised Egghead is still non-committal about this. Lord of the Old? What is that? He has seen countless so-called alien Kree people, and even the Asgard people in Norse legends. One by one is known as the savior of mankind and the creator of civilization. He even called himself a god. This god that god, in the end, is not a guy who can collapse with a single shot. It's fine if it's useful, but if it's not useful, dare to come to Earth and try it. And I'm now worried that this so-called old lord may not just be a matter of name. In our SHIELD, so many top scientists have become its followers. What about the outside world? This is very likely. We must be cautious about the large-scale brainwashing of us humans by other countries, even aliens. Phil Coulson has always done things from multiple angles. Seeing the enthusiastic expressions of the scientists, he immediately thought of many bad things. Under the scaremongering by Phil Coulson, Braised Egghead also realized the problem. What if Phil Coulson guessed right? SHIELD has been infiltrated by this old lord. Wouldn't it be worse in other places? What if this really is a conspiracy against humanity, against the beautiful country, against their SHIELD? Snapped. With a sudden slap on the table, Braised Egghead stood up abruptly. Let's go to the Trident building. Let me see what the old lord is. While talking, Braised Dantu opened the drawer casually and took out a small alien technology pistol specially made by S.H.I.E.L.D. regardless of the old god and the new god. Let's shoot first. If you can't die, then discuss other the things and...
Loving the audiobooks? Your support on Patreon helps me keep them coming. Check out the link in the description. Plus, as a patron, you can request specific books on Patreon. Just let me know. A huge thank you for your support. Now, let's dive into the next chapter.
Chapter 9. In the Trident building. The scientists were still immersed in Jiang Bai's imprint of the old one. Even worse, a scientist directly rubbed the imprint on the ice coffin, planning to take it home to appreciate it and even treat it as a family heirloom. And another crazier scientist even took out a laser pointer, planning to imprint a tattoo on his body on the spot. The Lord of the Old One is added. It's exciting to think about it. Oh my God. Look at the exquisite lines on it. And the exquisite lines. This is simply not something humans can do. Not all the scientists at the scene were believers of the Old One. Some people were just curious and leaned over to the ice coffin, looked at the imprint, and praised it. God? What is God? In front of the old master, God is not even worthy of lifting shoes. A scientist next to him gave a cold snort of disdain, and then a fanatic expression appeared on his face. Great Lord of the past, please point out the maze. Let these lost lambs get rid of God's bewitching and lead them to the glory of the past. That's right, my great old Lord. Please send down a miracle so that these ignorant people can fully comprehend your greatness. The agents who are responsible for monitoring the actions of the scientists look at me and look at you, all in a state of confusion. What should I do? They have even abandoned God now. Could it be that this old Lord really has such a great charm? Why don't we go over and have a look? Maybe there really is a Lord of the Old One. Be careful. This could be mind control or hypnotic ability. Don't go there. The older agent thought more, so he quickly grabbed the younger agent and prevented him from approaching the mark. Why hasn't the boss come back? If he doesn't come back, we won't be able to suppress him. Why don't we just knock them out one by one? Like crazy, it looks too scary. Nonsense. These are the highest level scientists in headquarters. They are much higher than us. Knock them out? Do you want to go to jail? Several agents immediately argued endlessly over whether to stun these scientists. Right at the moment, among the scientists, a scientist who appeared to be of the highest rank suddenly plopped in front of everyone and knelt down heavily towards the ice coffin. Great old Lord, I, Alec Jean, is your most devout believer, and I will be your most loyal servant. Now that your imprint has been revealed, can you give me some enlightenment? Let me I know how to shine your light on the whole world. Some leading scientists knelt down, and several scientists followed suit, knelt down immediately to the mark, and muttered words, either singing praises to the Old One, or asking the Old One for the way of transmission. No one was praying for himself. Seeing this scene, the eyelids of several agents jumped instantly. Who was going to knock them out just now? Now we can do it. Dispute immediately turned into evasion. Fake. Don't push. Look at that. There seems to be something wrong with the flame. Among the agents who were trying to evade the power to stun scientists, one of them suddenly yelled and pointed his finger at the burning alcohol lamp on the table. He can be sure that he definitely saw the flame of the alcohol lamp dance just now. Several other agents looked over with puzzled faces, not knowing what to see in a broken lamp. Just as he was about to make a joke, he saw the flame on the alcohol lamp suddenly flicker again. This is the laboratory? Looking at the bottles and cans around him, Jiang Bai guessed subconsciously. But when he shifted his gaze and saw the ice coffin of Captain America on the ground and an eagle-shaped shield badge on the wall, he immediately realized that this was SHIELD. It is a laboratory affiliated with SHIELD. It seems that Natasha Romanoff did report the news. Moreover, SHIELD's movements are quite fast, and the ice coffin has already been transported in such a short time. Then he looked around again, and there were a few agents who didn't look easy to mess with, looking in his direction with pale faces, as if they were frightened by something. And next to the ice coffin of Captain America on the ground, there are several people in white coats kneeling and chanting, like a mysterious ceremony scene. What a weird shield. Before Jiang Bai could figure out what happened here, the sound of the system came to his ear again. Alec Jean, chief scientist of SHIELD, became your believer because of his obsessive admiration for you. He is now planning to praise your greatness and spread your reputation through his own death. Do you agree? Reject. Reject immediately. SHIELD chief scientist? Are you going to praise yourself with death? Crazy him. What a waste. Jiang Bai resolutely refused. There are plenty of people who can be used to spread his name, and he doesn't want people of this level to pay their lives for it. This is someone from S.H.I.E.L.D. Still a scientist. Chief scientist. Belonging to the handful above the pinnacles of the pyramids. Proper people are dragons and phoenixes. And more importantly, if the chief scientist can develop the entire scientific research department of SHIELD into his own believers, wouldn't he be able to obtain information about SHIELD anytime and anywhere in the future, and even grasp all the cutting-edge technologies that SHIELD mastered in the first place? Alien technology. It's like a gold mine that can move. Alec Jean, who was kneeling in front of the ice coffin, suddenly seemed to have a perception. His complexion suddenly changed and instantly dimmed a lot, and the whole person seemed to have no strength. System, how do you control this flame? Can I speak casually? Jiang Bai didn't want his first believer to become decadent just because he didn't let him commit suicide. Just trying to control the flames, the door of the laboratory was pushed open. The leader was a black bald man with a strong build. He wears a pitch-black eye patch over his left eye, matching the scars on his face, giving him a vicious look. Nick Fury, the current director of SHIELD. Jiang Bai also recognized the people who followed Nick Fury at a glance. Phil Coulson, director of the new SHIELD after Nick Fury. Unexpectedly, it attracted the arrival of two directors. Jiang Bai was no longer in a hurry. With these two people present, nothing will happen to the chief scientist. He was really curious about what kind of actions these two people would make to face his old marks. But what Jiang Bai didn't expect was that, after entering, Nick Fury ignored the scientists and the ice coffin, but looked in his direction rather surprised. He found out the end. Chapter 10. Communicate with believers, proud talents. However, the words of the braised egghead successfully dispelled Jiang Bai's concerns. Didn't I say that there can't be any open flames in this laboratory? Who brought this lamp? Braised Dantu looked at the alcohol lamp and frowned. SHIELD sets up departments according to different functions. The International Security Council, headed by Braised Egghead, is responsible for contact with supernatural forces. This laboratory is under the command of Braised Egghead. Therefore, in this laboratory, no matter whether it is flame or water, all elements that may become supernatural powers are forbidden to be used. Boss, they said that in the research on the mysterious side, flame is the most able to restrain evil energy, so they strongly demand that open flames be placed in the laboratory, otherwise, they refuse to conduct any research on the mysterious side. Phil Coulson hastily pointed at the scientist next to the ice coffin, taking no responsibility for himself. It's not that he doesn't want to carry out the order, but that these scientists disagree. Flames restrain evil? I really hope that when supernatural powers that use flames as an attack method appear one day in the future, the belief of these people can save their lives, instead of using the lives of my agents. Braised Dantu gave a disdainful smile, then looked coldly at the group of crazy scientists. And you look at them like this, and it's clear that the flames aren't doing anything. Phil Coulson moved his lips, smiled wryly twice, and did not answer. In the entire SHIELD, except for the director, this group of scientists is the most proud. As the middleman, Phil Coulson, he can't afford to provoke anyone. Just shut up obediently. Jiang Bai looked at the corned egg head with great interest and taunted the scientist. But I have to admit that this corned egg head still has brains. At least what he said now is correct. This flame did not help the scientists resist any evil, but instead became the carrier of the coming of the old lord. The sense of irony is directly full. Under the prompt of the system, Jiang Bai quickly figured out the operation method of the coming of consciousness, and with a thought, he communicated with the first chief scientist who knelt down. Quiet. In order to maintain the old lord style, Jiang Bai deliberately changed the tone of his voice, and his voice sounded like a low voice, which sounded in the heart of the chief scientist. Hearing an inexplicable voice from the bottom of his heart, the chief scientist's heart trembled, and the expression on his face gradually became agitated. Quiet. Seeing this, Jiang Bai had no choice but to speak out again. Right now, he hasn't fully exposed his thoughts. What he needs is a spy planted inside S.H.I.E.L.D. The chief scientist immediately understood Jiang Bai's thoughts, lowered his head and twitched his face, and his expression instantly became extremely calm. In my heart I said silently, Great old lord, I am your believer Alec Jean. Are you planning to come to the world now? What do you need me to do for you? I can give up my life for you, and use my life in exchange for the world to treat you. Your awe will spread your reputation far and wide. Do not. It's still a fart. Continue to be a force. Jiang Bai doesn't know how to convey his thoughts to this Alec Jean. He just said bluntly, the barrier of the present world is too strong, and it's not yet time for me to come. What you need to do is to keep a low profile and find an anchor for me in the present world, so that I can take root in the present world. Follow my lord's will. Alec Jean spoke silently in his heart. While the two were communicating, Braised Dantu and Phil Coulson, who were next to them, also communicated with the on-site agent about the entire process. Imprint? What imprint? Why didn't I see it? Did you see it? Braised Dantu looked at the ice coffin suspiciously. How can there be any mark? Isn't it just an ordinary ice coffin? That is to say, the characters sealed inside are worth noting. It's just, huh? Where's the mark? Did you see the mark too? One of the agents was still thinking of giving a mark to Braised Dantu, but when he looked at the ice coffin, he was surprised to find that the damn mark had disappeared out of thin air. The rest of the agents also looked in the direction of the ice coffin in a daze. They also couldn't understand why the imprint on the ice coffin would suddenly disappear, which was unreasonable. Phil Coulson? Boss, there was indeed a blood-red mark here just now. It is definitely not an illusion. If you check the surveillance, you should be able to see it. Although Phil Coulson didn't know exactly what happened, he still honestly explained everything he saw. Alec Jean, come here. Braised Dantu must have believed in his agent. Since so many people said they saw the mark, and even Phil Coulson brought up the surveillance to talk about it, it must be true. Now that the imprint is gone, the best way is to ask these crazy scientists if they know what happened. Alec Jean at the moment is still communicating with Jiang Bai. After finally getting in touch with the old master he believed in, he didn't have time to deal with Braised Egghead. However, under Jiang Bai's instructions, Jean got up obediently and looked at Braised Egghead indifferently. I'm sorry, we are busy with work now, so let the director speak directly if he has something to say. As he said that, he also kicked the group of scientists beside him, making them get up obediently. Be low-key, your attitude is too high-key. Jiang Bai couldn't help but remind it. My lord, rest assured, this is how I treated Commissioner Nick Fury before, and I will never let him see any clues. Alec Jean replied confidently in his heart. You'll be sure enough, he is a high-end talent, and he doesn't have to show embarrassment to anyone anywhere. Jiang Bai was speechless immediately. However, Alec Jean did not lie. Faced with such a bad attitude, not only was Braised Egghead not angry, but the expression on his face eased a little. Can you tell me? What are you doing? What is the Lord of the Old? There is also an alcohol lamp. Didn't I say that there should be no open flames in this laboratory? It's nothing. The alcohol lamp is just one of the experimental equipment. You have too many rules. We don't want to fill out a lot of documents for a simple experiment. Your rules should be changed. Alec glanced at the alcohol lamp very calmly. Just now his god told him that the flame is the anchor point for the Lord of the Old Ones to descend into the world, and it must not be discarded. To communicate with the Lord of the Old Days, there must be an open flame. So, no matter what Braised Egghead says, Alec will keep this lamp. As for what we're doing, it's nothing. It's just a small excitement for scientists. After all, this is Captain America, the legendary owner of the super serum. As a scientist, who can say no?
The end?
Chapter 11. The Fear of the Braised Egghead, New Containment. Alec Jean, I hope you can be honest. You were clearly talking about the old one, not Captain America. When Braised Egghead shifted his gaze to Phil Coulson blushed immediately and quickly questioned Alec's statement. Old Lord? Phil Coulson, agent, you haven't woken up. We are a team of occultists. How could we believe in such hypocrisy? Director Nick Fury, it seems that it's not just your rules that need to be changed now. The people under your command should be changed. I don't want to entrust my life to such naive people. Facing Phil Coulson's questioning, Alec Jean was extremely calm and even sneered a few words. It's just that Braised Dantu and Phil Coulson didn't know that the moment he finished speaking, Alec began to constantly apologize to Jiang Bai in his heart and panicked because he belittled Jiang Bai. Those words made Phil Coulson's expression even harder to look. Well, as long as you work hard, I will consider your request, but I hope you will be more polite in the future. After all, I will pay your salary. Braised Dantu thought for a while, nodded without saying anything more, and signaled Phil Coulson and other agents to leave the laboratory. Just before he left, Braised Egghead glanced at the alcohol lamp again. His eyes were cold. Boss, are we leaving like this? Walking out of the lab, Phil Coulson and the other agents were still in a state of bewilderment. That Alec Jean was obviously lying, but their director, Brat, actually believed it? Call over some psychiatrists immediately. The scientists inside, as well as the few of you, will all undergo psychological tests. Also, close the entire laboratory, and no one is allowed to enter, especially the alcohol lamp inside. Give me quarantine. It wasn't until he completely walked out of the Trident building that the corned head stopped, turned around and opened his mouth in the direction of the laboratory, with an extremely ugly expression on his face. Boss, why didn't you say that just now? If you had been tougher just now, maybe that Alec would have recruited. Phil Coulson couldn't help but complain. Braised Egghead was publicly despised by others, but he endured it. Do as I want and be safe. From the moment I entered that laboratory, I had a feeling of being watched, and that line of sight gave me a bad feeling. Braised Egghead waved his hand. Bathed in the sun, the haze in my heart subsided a lot. What? When Phil Coulson heard this, a chill rose from behind his back. Line of sight? What line of sight? Why didn't he perceive anything? Just when he was about to ask carefully, he was roughly interrupted by the Braised Egghead. Don't ask. The more times this kind of mysterious stuff is mentioned, the greater the impact. Before confirming who the opponent is, use pronouns as much as possible. I don't want to attract the attention of some evil people. Also, the Avengers plan should be advanced. Haven't you found Dr. Banner's whereabouts yet? Sorry. We've narrowed it down as much as possible, but you know, if Dr. Banner wants to hide, ASAP. Braised Dantu left a word and left directly. Phil Coulson stood in place with a group of agents, looking at each other in blank dismay. Until after a while, Phil Coulson suddenly said, Agent Ward, I remember that you seem to be a devout believer. Is there any reliable church? I think we need to go there and pray. After parting with Phil Coulson and others, Braised Egghead went straight back to his office. Mark of the Old Lord, he was sure Phil Coulson and the others were not lying. Although Alec Jean pretended to know nothing. But in front of an agent leader like Braised Dantu, his performance is still too immature. It was clearly hiding something. Adding that unpleasant alcohol lamp and inexplicable sight playing with Captain Marvel's communicator, Braised Egghead fell into deep thought. Hope this won't be used. Back to Jiang Bai here. The disappearance of the previous mark was Jiang Bai's handwriting. Facing a mysterious agent leader like Braised Dantu, he didn't want to leave any clues. After Braised Egghead left, he briefly explained to Alec Jean, and Jiang Bai also cut off his consciousness and descended. After all, this is not free arrival. SAN points are charged by the minute. Now he can't afford it. Congratulations to the name of the host being spread, and the SAN value is 200 points. Congratulations to the host for gaining the fear of the world and obtaining a SAN value of 300. Congratulations to the name of the host being spread, and the SAN value is 200 points. Congratulations to the host for gaining the fear of the world and obtaining a SAN value of 300. The SAN value from Braised Egghead and Phil Coulson combined has 1,000 points, much more than the previous group of scientists. System, what's going on? Back to the host. According to individual differences, the stronger the biological ability, the greater the impact on the world, and the higher the SAN value provided. Soga. Jiang Bai's mind instantly became active. If the background characters like Braised Egghead and Phil Coulson can provide so much, then if it is replaced by members of Avengers, or even Ancient One and Planet Devourer, there is also the legendary Celestial group, the Eternal Race. Then he is going to take off. If all these people feel fear, the SN value provided may make him soar up in place and become a god directly. The more he thought about it, the more excited he became. Jiang Bai couldn't help but want to sing a song. Remind the host that this world has reverse tracking ability. Please pay attention to your own safety. Crash. A basin of cold water mercilessly covered Jiang Bai's head. Think about it too. Forget about Ancient One and Planet Devourer now. Any superhero, an ordinary person like Natasha Romanoff, may kill himself. It is useless to think too far. It is true to find ways to enhance one's own strength. Thinking of this, Jiang Bai fought hard and exchanged 3 teleportation scrolls directly from the system store. Value, 999 SAN value. Teleportation scroll allows the designated target to return to the base instantly. Holding the teleportation scroll that appeared out of thin air in his hand, Jiang Bai felt much more at ease. When you encounter danger, just run away with the scroll, or simply use the scroll to send the enemy to your base. Beautiful sizzle just when Jiang Bai fell into imagination again. The old compass that had been left aside by Jiang Bai and never used, suddenly began to turn silently. The hour hand rotated rapidly, and soon, it locked on a certain number mark. Anomalous item SCP-354 was found. The target range is the Middle East. Please ask the host to go to contain it.
The end?
Chapter 12. Middle East? Isn't that where Iron Man Tony Stark was held? Natasha Romanoff. After receiving the system task, Jiang Bai directly called Natasha Romanoff in. Does Master Jiang have any instructions? Or do you need me to help you relax? It is now midnight. Because of the excessive consumption of consciousness, Jiang Bai fell asleep after returning and slept for a full 8 hours before recovering. A boy from a rich family called for a beautiful assistant in the middle of the night. The latter, understand everything. Looking at Natasha Romanoff's winking expression, Jiang Bai couldn't help it. If it weren't for the system's continuous reminders, Jiang Bai really wanted to experience the professional skills of the beauty agent. Calm down, call King Ada first. Huh? Does young Master Jiang think that I am not enough alone? Do you want to find another one? Natasha Romanoff once again used the method of seduction, and the effect was outstanding. Ahem, I told you to calm down. Call Ada Wong and ask the butler to prepare a plane for us. We are going to the Middle East now. Middle East? Natasha Romanoff's heart skipped a beat. She was arranged to join Jiang Bai's smuggling group because of the issue of weapons. According to SHILD's investigation, Jiang Bai's smuggling group has been sending weapons to warlords in the Middle East, seriously affecting the stability of the Middle East. It's just that the smuggling group has not been caught, so Black Widow was asked to come out to collect evidence. Now that he heard that his mission goal was close at hand, Black Widow suddenly became excited. Quickly accepted Jiang Bai's order, turned around to greet King Ada and the housekeeper. In addition, the moment Natasha Romanoff walked out of Jiang Bai's room, she turned on her communicator and sent the message to S.H.I.E.L.D. Target, the Middle East, ready to close the net. Miss Natasha Romanoff, may I ask, what are you doing? Just as Natasha Romanoff was secretly manipulating the communicator, a cold female voice sounded beside her. Looking up, King Ada was looking at himself with a faint smile on the corner of his mouth. What are you doing here? Are you jealous because young Master Jiang called me by my name? Natasha Romanoff, who has been in the field for a long time, will naturally not be easily bluffed by King Ada, so he put away the communicator casually, showing the same playful smile. It's my cousin after all, and as a close family member, I feel I have an obligation to care about his life. King Ada smiled indifferently. I remember you said that we each do our own thing and don't bother each other. I hope you are not deceiving me. Definitely. The two women wanted to smile at each other and walked towards the butler's room together. Passing by Ada King's room on the way, looking at the half-open door and the brightly lit display screen inside, Natasha Romanoff smiled meaningfully again. It seems that you are right. You really care about your cousin. Then definitely, they are family after all. King Ada closed the door very naturally. Just now she was reporting the situation to her superior. When she heard Jiang Bai calling Natasha Romanoff's name, she rushed out without caring too much. I'm afraid that Natasha Romanoff will act first, or do something that will affect her mission. This allowed Natasha Romanoff to catch her own little loophole. Well, that's right, you must be cautious when dealing with family members. Natasha Romanoff, who was born in a red house and had no parents, nodded very positively. The two women were talking about the scene, as if nothing happened just now. And in King Ada's room, on the computer, files about Captain America are being uploaded. To the Middle East? The butler looked at the two women in front of him in bewilderment. All right, why does the young master want to go to the Middle East? It is an extremely dangerous place, full of militants who kill people without blinking an eye. Master Jiang told you to prepare quickly, as if he was in a hurry. Okay, I see. You guys go to reply to the young master. Just give me half an hour. The butler nodded helplessly and began to get busy. When it comes to Nine-Tailed Fox, there is no extra dialogue. When the captain learned that this was Jiang Bai's idea, there was no doubt, only implementation. The entire Nine-Tailed Fox team changed clothes and equipment in front of the two women. The whole process took less than a minute, and they were assembled in an instant and ready to go. This resolute action shocked the two women again. What do you think they do? Is this kind of force really owned by a smuggling group? On the way back to find Jiang Bai, Natasha Romanoff couldn't help asking. As the former Black Widow of the Red House and the current SHIELD agent, Natasha Romanoff couldn't help but worry. Are you looking into my family's secrets? In theory, I shouldn't discuss these with you. Aren't you done pretending? If you don't figure out the purpose of this troop, do you think your mission will be easily completed? Natasha Romanoff gave Ada Wong a rather speechless look. King Ada just smiled. Just a special forces unit. As long as it is flesh and blood, no matter how good the army is, it is impossible to resist the tyrant. How could she care? Half an hour, although it's a bit slower than I thought, but it's acceptable. You two should go back and prepare. The things you will encounter next may be beyond the imagination of the two of you. You'd better do it well. Prepare? Jiang Bai nodded and waved the two women back. Facing Jiang Bai's warning, the two women were non-committal. It's amazing what a smuggler can do. Could it be that silly puppet from before? Do not make jokes. Back in her room, Natasha Romanoff took out the communicator again. Because of Ada Wong's reasons, the message hadn't been sent out yet, but now it's finally quiet. Less than a minute after the message was sent, SHIELD replied. Tony Stark? Could it be that Jiang Bai's goal is the Stark Company? A well-equipped, well-styled unit. A smuggling group, a group that smuggles weapons. A kidnapped largest weapons dealer in the beautiful country. Connected together, Natasha Romanoff fell into a moment of absence for a moment. According to the instructions of SHIELD, next, SHIELD will send 2 or 3 agent troops, 2-line operation, to arrest Jiang Bai while rescuing Tony Stark. The task of Natasha Romanoff is to control Jiang Bai and prevent him from escaping. On Ada Wong's side, looking at the email sent by his superior Weskier on the screen, he also showed a shocked expression. To send a tyrant army? Are you crazy? Isn't one such inhuman creature enough? They actually want to drop an entire army. This is to destroy the world. Naturally, the 2 women will not know all their actions, and they are all under the supervision of Jiang Bai. Tyrant? Not bad. Just to let the world know the true horror of abnormality. Come on, come. The more you come, the better.
The end?
Chapter 13. The transport plane quickly took off from the luxury cruise ship. During the flight, Captain Nine-Tailed Fox took out his tablet and showed Jiang Bai what he found this time. Sir, according to the comparison information database, it can be concluded that the anomaly we are going to contain this time is not 354, but 312. 312? Are you sure? What about 354? Jiang Bai was stunned for a moment. According to the system prompt, the abnormality found this time should be 354 blood pool. Why did it become 312? Why is Lao Tzu so big as a pool of blood? I'm sorry, sir. We don't know the specific reason yet, so we can only go to the field to investigate. Captain Nine-Tailed Fox showed a shameful expression. This appearance made Jiang Bai wake up immediately. Now he has too few people under his command. And because the Nine-Tailed Fox team was also responsible for his security, they simply couldn't allocate enough people to conduct a preliminary investigation. After all, compared with this loyal Nine-Tailed Fox team, those bodyguards left by Jiang Bai's original body are really inferior. Jiang Bai couldn't believe it at all. Thinking of this, Jiang Bai shook his head. It doesn't matter. Whether it's 354 or 312, we have to contain it. If the order changes, let's change it. Tell me, what's the situation with 312? From the system, Jiang Bai only got 354 data, and the sudden change of target made Jiang Bai's eyes dim, and he urgently needed an explanation from Captain Nine-Tailed Fox. After receiving Zhang Bian's order, Captain Nine-Tailed Fox nodded, switched the channel of the headset, connected everyone. Attention everyone. I will explain the purpose of this trip in detail next. For the sake of your safety, it is best not to slip away. Natasha Romanoff was instantly refreshed when she heard this. She had guessed Jiang Bai's purpose for a long time, and without knowing Jiang Bai's specific goal, she couldn't make a perfect plan with S.H.I.E.L.D. Now that Captain Nine-Tailed Fox wanted to explain, he immediately held his breath and concentrated. Ada Wong also entered a state of full concentration. She just told Weskier about Captain America and the Nine-Tailed Fox squad, and Weskier sent out the entire Tyrant army, which made King Ada very puzzled about what happened. He even had doubts about the tasks he had come to Jiang Bai to perform. It's just a smuggling group, so it needs such a big battle? Without keeping the second daughter waiting for a long time, Captain Nine-Tailed Fox immediately started explaining when everyone was in the mood. Our target this time is internally numbered SCP-312, codenamed Atmospheric Jellyfish. According to investigations, SCP-312 is an organism composed of very thin tissue layers filled with atmospheric gases that are slightly warmer than the surrounding air. It usually floats about 100 meters above the ground, but once it locks on its prey, 312 will change its position to a height more suitable for hunting. SCP-312 is able to form a small lenticular cloud around itself and use it as camouflage by releasing water vapor and manipulating air currents. So when you spot a cloud over your head, be careful. It is possible that 312 has locked the target on you. Through observation, we found that 312 is in the clouds, visually similar to a large jellyfish, so it was codenamed Atmospheric Jellyfish. 312 has a jellyfish cap with a diameter of about 2.5 meters and tentacles on the lower body. The specific number is unknown. It is confirmed that the longest beard is about 25 meters long. It is worth noting that SCP-312 likes to prey on large mammals and shows a strong preference for humans, so when we arrive at the target location, everyone must always pay attention to the top of their heads and immediately report any abnormalities. This is not a joke. Let's explain 312's hunting method. When hunting, SCP-312 will stalk its prey from a position directly above, manipulating the surrounding airflow to maintain this relative position. SCP-312 will then create a narrow, controlled atmospheric vortex that looks like along the cloud tube connects the lenticular cloud above to the ground. Prey are drawn into SCP-312's tentacles by the strong updraft within the vortex, paralyzed by the tentacle's stingers, and then digested. Definitely, because the appearance of 312 is close to that of jellyfish, it has the attribute of slow-moving speed of jellyfish. Once locked, the prey only needs to move at a speed of more than 30 km per hour, to escape the attack of 312. Or escape by entering a crowd concentration point, which appears to confuse SCP-312 and redirect it. Then explain the containment method. The interior of SCP-312 has countless eyeball-like tissues, most of which are similar in appearance to human eyeballs, except for a large central sphere, which is suspected to be the real core of 312. The other eyeballs are connected to the central sphere by thin, tentacle-like tissues. When this central sphere is left unobserved, SCP-312 remains docile and appears to be able to survive indefinitely without food, although food does increase its mass and speed of movement as well as quantity. Because there is an entity, the containment of SCP-312 becomes very simple. We only need to control its central core, find a way to block its central vision, and put it into a standby state. Therefore, the plan is as follows. Through this transport plane, we will place a black cloth in the air with an area large enough to cover the entire 312. We will actively send team members to observe 312 and activate 312 to lure it to the designated location. In the middle of the mission, if 312 changes its target, we will not hesitate bring it back to normal at all costs. Above, 312 is much simpler than Jiang Bai imagined. The scariest thing about this kind of thing is the unknown. But once you clearly understand everything about 312, it's easy to deal with. Captain Nine-Tailed Fox seemed to see Jiang Bai's relaxation, shook his head and stepped forward. Sir, things are not as simple as you think. The real trouble with 312 is that it cannot be locked. When 312 is in an inactive state, it is no different from the clouds in the sky. And even if it is activated, 312 will often follow a biological unit. It will take as long as several months to make a move. So this time, if you want to successfully contain it, the time cost will take at least about 3 months. Is that so? Jiang Bai put away the relaxed expression on his face. The Foundation's goal is to control containment and protection, not blind destruction. So in the face of this abnormal slow motion, it is really a headache.
The end?
Chapter 14. A Team of Super Soldiers. Just when Jiang Bai was thinking about what to do with SCP-312's, hey, do you know what they were talking about before? Atmospheric jellyfish? There are such things in this world? They are not crazy. Natasha Romanoff's cell phone vibrated, and when she opened it, it was a message from Ada Wong. Turning off the phone, Natasha Romanoff looked directly at Ada Wong, laughed and cried and shook her head. If there is such a cloud that can eat people in this world, it is impossible for SHIELD not to know. Even if SHIELD doesn't know, it's impossible for the Red House to know. After all, the widow of the Red House exists all over the world. This group of people is still discussing something that the two top institutions are not clear about. For a moment, Natasha Romanoff didn't know whether to trust them or not. Sighing, Natasha Romanoff took out her phone and edited a text message to send. That's the benefit of an avatar assistant. After a few days of contact, Natasha Romanoff found that Jiang Bai was not as suspicious as expected. Generally, this kind of criminal organization strictly controls the use of communication equipment by its subordinates. But Jiang Bai never cared about her and Ada Wong. They can not only use the computer at will, but even use their mobile phones to log on to social networking sites and post selfies. A naive rich second generation. Soon, the transport plane arrived in the Middle East. The target location is not a great plain, but a mountainous area with complex terrain and nowhere to land. And the nearest plane, at the moment, is still occupied by a group of armed forces. If you want to land there, you have to contact the armed forces, which seriously hinders the containment plan. Therefore, Captain Nine-Tailed Fox directly asked his team members to drive the transport plane into the mountainous area, 30 meters above the ground. Sir, let's go down to clean up the ground first. Please wait a moment. After saluting to Jiang Bai, Captain Nine-Tailed Fox stood at the hatch with a few subordinates. Then, in front of the two beautiful agents, they jumped off without any hesitation. Just jumped off like this? Natasha Romanoff and Ada Wong stood up instantly, quickly ran to the position of the hatch. Looking down, Captain Nine-Tailed Fox and the others had already landed handsomely. Without even stopping for a moment, they directly started cleaning the ground. Super soldier. A whole army of super soldiers. This thought flashed across Natasha Romanoff's mind, and she looked at Captain Nine-Tailed Fox and the others in shock. Ada Wong next to him also had a very bad expression. G-Virus? You too. Go back and sit down quickly, you will land soon. But don't be thrown out. Jiang Bai was very satisfied with the expressions of the two female agents. That's right. These 2 days I've been treating myself like a fool, and I've done countless tricks secretly. Now, it's time to get to know your boss well. Looking at Jiang Bai's playful smile, Natasha Romanoff and Ada Wong felt a sense of panic in their hearts. He returned to his seat honestly and sat down. After a while, the transport plane landed. The soldier who flew the plane seemed to be in line with Jiang Bai's rhetoric and deliberately shook the fuselage when it landed. It's like warning Natasha Romanoff and Ida King. After getting off the plane, Jiang Bai stretched a lot. It was really tiring to fly in this kind of armed transport plane in the middle of the night, and Natasha Romanoff and Ada Wong lowered their heads at the same time. It seemed that he was frightened by the shaking just now. In fact, the two women were looking for clues on the ground. Captain Nine-Tailed Fox and the clues to their landing. I'll give you 10 minutes to recuperate, and we'll go straight away in a while. Although Jiang Bai was not at the base of the luxury cruise ship, he couldn't see the facial expressions of the two women. But just thinking about it casually, Jiang Bai could guess what the two agents were doing, smiled slightly, and issued an order that catered to the wishes of the two girls. The entire Nine-Tailed Fox troop immediately began to rest. Natasha Romanoff and Ada Wong bowed their heads for a few minutes, and soon, the two women got together. Did you find anything? Ada Wong deliberately found an angle that Jiang Bai would not see, and asked. No, the ground is flat, and there are no heavy footprints. The leaves and branches are broken except for the extremely fragile places, and the other limbs are intact. Natasha Romanoff shook her head gravely. There are no footprints and no damage, which means that the control of power by these nine-tailed foxes has reached a peak. You must know that it is 30 meters high. Just because of the energy brought by gravity, several big holes should be smashed on the ground. So, obviously, these people are all your Captain America. They are all genetically modified fighters. King Ada smiled. This made Natasha Romanoff suddenly vigilant. What do you want? What is my Captain America? Don't worry, no matter what I want to do, at least in this operation, we are in the same camp. Whether it's the 312 they said on the plane or the strength they showed, they tell us all the time. If we don't work together, let alone complete our mission, once exposed, we won't even be able to get out alive. Ada Wong put Natasha Romanoff's shoulder very familiarly and lifted Natasha Romanoff's chin with the other hand, smiled and said, The Captain America thing last time. I have already seen it. You are either from SHIELD or HYDRA. Because only these two organizations are interested in Captain America. Definitely, these two organizations you infiltrate me, and I infiltrate yours. It's not an exaggeration to call it an organization. But judging by your appearance and your way of doing things, you should be SHIELD. Am I right? You. Natasha Romanoff's nerves tensed instantly, and the muscles in her body began to gradually exert strength. Ada Wong's hand on Natasha Romanoff's shoulder changed, and he squeezed Natasha Romanoff's shoulder like a massage. Take it easy. Like I said, we're grasshoppers on the same rope in this situation where you're surrounded by genetically modified fighters. I don't want to die right now, so I won't get in your way. Understand? Who are you, and what is your purpose? Natasha Romanoff gritted her silver teeth, and her voice escaped between her lips. Me? I'm just a wandering mercenary who just happened to take a similar mission with you. Definitely, if you're willing to pay a big price, I can do it with you. After all, my current boss is really likable. Don't get up. King Ada scratched Natasha Romanoff's nose, looking very affectionate. The height advantage makes Natasha Romanoff look like a little girl nestled in King Ada's arms. Hey, you two. Stay calm and start a mission. The rest time is over. Let's go now. Seeing this scene, Jiang Bai in the distance clicked his tongue and hurriedly interrupted. Now is not the time to watch an R-rated movie.
The end?
Chapter 15. Please subscribe. The team walked through the rugged mountainous area and soon reached a valley. After a night of flying, and the fact that I was on my way just now, it was already morning. The desert area of the Middle East makes it extremely hot even in the morning. Fortunately, there are always clouds following in the sky, helping to block the sun. Otherwise, at the moments Jiang Bai would probably be sweating profusely. not at all as aggressive as the Lord of the Old One should be, and many more. Seeing that the team was about to reach the target location, King Ada suddenly yelled, "What's wrong?" Jiang Bai turned around and looked at King Ada curiously. The not-so-famous King Ada couldn't bear it anymore? "Cousin, don't you think this cloud in the sky is very similar to the thing you mentioned in the plane? What 312? King Ada didn't look up, but looked directly at Jiang Bai and poked his finger towards the sky. Just now, when King Ada was distracted, he paused. But in the next second, King Ada discovered a fact that made her hair stand on end. She stopped, but the shadow of the clouds under her feet didn't stop. Then she observed the shadows around her. The clouds in the sky did not move as a whole as if being blown by the wind, but the first half moved forward and the second half followed, just like jellyfish swimming in the water. SCP-312, Atmospheric Jellyfish. Jiang Bai and the captain of the nine-tailed fox beside him raised their heads instantly. With just one glance, the two of them could tell something was wrong with Yun Duo. Everyone, including the officer, bowed their heads quickly. I should have observed its central core. Captain Nine-Tailed Fox let out a low snort, noticing that Jiang Bai was unmoved. He simply stretched out his hand and pressed Jiang Bai's shoulder, forcing him to bow his head. "Sorry, sir. In order not to put you in danger, I can only make a bad move." Captain Nine-Tailed Fox apologized while pressing his head. "Don't be nervous. The situation is not quite right. You take a good look." Jiang Bai naturally wouldn't mind Captain Nine-Tailed Fox's behavior, but patted Captain Nine-Tailed Fox's big hand. "Look carefully, it's not just one cloud, it's all of them." "What?" Captain Nine-Tailed Fox was startled, and after careful observation, his pupils instantly dilated. "Damn it, this is not one SCP-312, there are obviously countless. All the clouds floating in the sky are all SCP-312. Everyone backed up and looked for the commanding heights. Some kind of mutation may have occurred at the target location, so keep your guns on guard. "Yes." With Jiang Bai's order, all the soldiers around him instantly went into a state of alert. Captain Nine-Tailed Fox was still looking up at the atmospheric jellyfish above, while lifting his body up and moving with the help of other team members. This is to ensure the safety of the entire team. If the atmospheric jellyfish in the sky were really targeting them, Captain Nine-Tailed Fox, who became an observer, would be able to issue a warning immediately. Soon, under the command of the soldiers on the transport plane, the team found the commanding heights of the nearby valley. "Sir, the target of these atmospheric jellyfish does not seem to be us. They are moving with purpose." Noticing that his body hadn't moved for a long time, Captain Nine-Tailed Fox spoke out. "You can tell by looking down." Jiang Bai's calm voice sounded. Because he wanted to observe the atmospheric jellyfish, Captain Nine-Tailed Fox never lowered his head and didn't notice the expressions of the people around him at all. Subconsciously lowering his head and looking in the direction pointed by Jiang Bai, Captain Nine-Tailed Fox froze for a moment. "I saw that in the valley below, densely packed in midair. They were all atmospheric jellyfish. Every atmospheric jellyfish is in an activated state, and the tentacles on its lower body are constantly hitting the ground. Looking at the ground, there are humanoid creatures in black robes and over 3 meters tall. The humanoid creature is constantly roaring, either carrying a Gatling in its hand or picking up the broken rocks on the ground and attacking the atmospheric jellyfish in the sky. Bullets, stones, and tentacles were flying all over the sky, creating chaos." "New containment?" Captain Nine-Tailed Fox asked suspiciously. "No, it's the zombie tyrant." Jiang Bai smiled lightly. He is too familiar with the black-robed monsters below. Hearing Jiang Bai say the word tyrant, King Ada trembled all over his body, and Natasha Romanoff, who had been paying attention to King Ada's movements all the time, was moved. Glancing at King Ada, Jiang Bai shook his head. These tyrants should have been used by Weskier to attack him, so they were dropped at his target location. But what people never expected was that countless atmospheric jellyfish appeared here out of thin air. The number is so large that it covers almost the entire valley. These tyrants who used to attack themselves were attacked by these atmospheric jellyfish as soon as they landed. There are no-brain masters on both sides, and the fighting scene is naturally getting more and more intense. In the end, it directly developed into what it is now. Total war. "Sir, what about us?" Jiang Bai knew what happened, but the others didn't. Captain Nine-Tailed Fox looked at the scuffle below for a while and asked, "Let's look at it this way first and collect the data on both sides. The tenacious vitality of these tyrants can just help us detect the attack strength of SCP-312. Why not use Baidu's experimental data?" Jiang Bai waved his hand. Now is not the time to make a move. It's not just tyrants and atmospheric jellyfish here. SHIELD and Umbrella's agents should be hiding around too. Just let them take a good look. Let them witness the extraordinary power. Obey. Captain Nine-Tailed Fox saluted and began to arrange for his subordinates to set up data collection equipment. On King Ada's side, he was only shocked that Jiang Bai knew the name of the tyrant. After a short period of distraction, he quickly regained his composure and watched with great interest. Hasn't Weskier always claimed that the tyrant is invincible? Just right. Hey, these creatures are the power behind you. Where did you come from? What did Jiang Bai mean by zombies? Is it what I think? Taking advantage of Jiang Bai not looking this way, Natasha Romanoff approached King Ada and asked with a cloudy expression, "Zombies are only seen in movies and TV shows. Humans mutate after being infected by a virus. You must know that in those works, the fate of zombies is often accompanied by the destruction of the world. If the tyrants in front of him were really zombies, Natasha Romanoff might have to use force against King Ada. After all, compared with Jiang Bai's smuggling group, this kind of zombie research organization is more dangerous. Why are you going to bid? I'm not a man with a firm mouth. If you can offer a good price, maybe I can join your STIL.D. King Ada neither admitted nor denied, looking at Natasha Romanoff with a half-smile. This kind of person is the most difficult to deal with. Never know which sentence she said is the truth and which sentence is a lie.
The end?
Chapter 16. As Jiang Bai guessed, there are many umbrella companies and agents of SHIELD around the valley. Looking at the battle between the two terrifying creatures in the center, all the agents looked as ugly as if they had eaten shit. On the side of the umbrella company, the embarrassment lies in the fact that their self-confident product was blocked by inexplicable creatures before they even made an inch of success. For SHIELD, this is the first time they know that these two kinds of monsters still exist in this world, and they have become monsters of a large scale, especially those 3-meter-tall giant creatures with modern weapons in their hands. What this represents is self-evident. Boss, you have seen the situation. What should we do? Phil Coulson was wearing a combat suit, hiding in a piece of rubble, and had a painful video with the corned head. Hasn't Natasha Romanoff agent sent a message? Not yet, but our people found the imprint she left behind, and she should be nearby now. Then wait. First try everything possible to obtain the tissue fragments of these two creatures. Clear. Just as Phil Coulson hung up the communication, the agent next to him came over with a confused expression on his face. Boss, take their fragments? Isn't it killing us? Who dares to go there? That's right. If I knew how dangerous this place was, I would have joined Operation Stark Rescue. Listening to the complaints of his subordinates, Phil Coulson also had a headache. Neither of these two unknown creatures seemed easy to mess with. Unless there was a miracle from heaven, this mission would never be completed. Sir, the data has been collected. Do you want to stop it? On Jiang Bai's side, Captain Nine-Tailed Fox returned again. Most of SCP-312's data is documented, subject to minor revisions. Another kind of creature called Tyrant. Captain Nine-Tailed Fox can deduce the approximate data just by glancing at it twice. And when the time comes to catch one, he will know everything. Therefore, it is said that collecting data does not take much time at all. Is there any effective control method? It is best to quiet these two creatures at the same time. Jiang Bai asked. I'm sorry, sir. According to observations, the area occupied by atmospheric jellyfish is too large. With the weapons and equipment we are carrying, we cannot effectively control them. We need fire support, at least 3 times the amount of ammunition for a large-scale war. That exceeds our current gunpowder stock. Captain Nine-Tailed Fox replied with some embarrassment. If it was a Real Foundation, it would naturally not be short of this amount of ammunition. However, the foundation of this world is just a luxury cruise ship of Jiang Bai. The amount of weapons and ammunition owned is only the inventory of the smuggling group under Jiang Bai. It's not Tony Stark's company, and the stock can't do this at all. What Captain Nine-Tailed Fox said made Natasha Romanoff, who was listening on the sidelines, feel relieved. It seems that this so-called mysterious foundation is not as huge as imagined, nor is it an omnipotent existence. Although some unknown secrets have been mastered, the actual size may be the size of a militant in the Middle East. Compared with SHIELD, it is too weak. King Ada, who was also listening, showed a puzzled expression. Jiang Bai's subordinates obviously control a genetically modified army and even know about the tyrant. How could they only have this little energy? Are you showing weakness on purpose? Natasha Romanoff didn't bother to think about whether Jiang Bai was showing weakness or something. The mission she came here was already done. She came to investigate the smuggling syndicate. There was no need to keep the smuggling syndicate that couldn't even afford a large-scale war. She was directly arrested and brought down. Just some super soldiers. SHIELD has a perfect handling mechanism. Natasha Romanoff found a random reason to go to the bathroom, turned her back to Jiang Bai, and took out her mobile phone, lowered the danger level of Jiang Bai's smuggling group, and was about to send an attack application to Dantu when Jiang Bai behind him spoke. Aren't you running out of ammunition? Since it can't be contained, let's destroy it. Prepare to use a nuclear bomb. Natasha Romanoff's finger hovered over the send button, and her face paled instantly. He turned his head in disbelief. Nuke? Jiang Bai knew Natasha Romanoff's reaction well. After all, she belonged to S.H.I.E.L.D. Moreover, Natasha Romanoff seemed to have an inexplicable atonement complex. He was not surprised to hear such a big reaction to the nuclear bomb. Then Jiang Bai looked at King Ada. This is a mysterious woman. The Resident Evil series has been out for so long, but I couldn't complete the background story of this woman. As a result, Jiang Bai didn't know what King Ada wanted. But to Jiang Bai's surprise, King Ada didn't react when he heard the word nuclear bomb, with a calm expression on his face. Noticing Jiang Bai's gaze, he turned his head and smiled at Jiang Bai with bright eyes and bright teeth. Jiang Bai also responded with a smile, then touched his chin and fell into deep thought. Ada Wong must still belong to the Umbrella Company now. Hearing that he was going to blow up the tyrant's troops, he didn't react at all. What's the meaning? It's because her agent's professionalism is so good. Even if she sees the demise of the tyrant's army, her heart is overwhelmed, and her face can still show a calm face. Or is this woman deliberately cheating Svek, not caring about the tyrant's life or death, or the loss of the Umbrella Company? Jiang Bai still prefers the second type in his heart. After all, the relationship between Ada Wong and Swick is not a simple subordinate and superior, but an employment relationship. There is no such thing as loyalty. But it doesn't matter. As long as King Ada is still by his side, he will figure out the purpose of this woman sooner or later. And as time goes by, the ability of the old master will become stronger and stronger, and when the time comes, getting rid of the inexplicably R-rated picture in his mind, Jiang Bai exchanged 5 tactical nuclear bombs directly from the system store. This thing is quite cheap, 100 SAN is worth 1. Just empty the remaining SAN value of Jiang Bai. The reason for exchanging 5 coins is because Jiang Bai firmly believes in one thing. There is nothing that one nuclear bomb can't solve. If there is, then another one. Let's go. Call the transport plane over. Since the target of these atmospheric jellyfish is not us, it will not prevent us from leaving. After changing the nuclear bomb, Jiang Bai greeted the transport plane very casually. Jiang, Master Jiang, are you really not going to think about it again? Nuclear bomb? Is the reaction too violent? There may be other civilians nearby. On Natasha Romanoff's side, she passed the news that Jiang Bai might have a nuclear bomb and was going to send a nuclear bomb to Dantu as quickly as possible, and then put on a sad look, walked to Jiang Bai's side to persuade him. Don't think about it. In the face of abnormalities, you will never react violently. You will understand in the future. Jiang Bai shook his head, his tone extremely firm.
The end?
Chapter 17. Under the disbelieving eyes of Natasha Romanoff, Jiang Bai and his group boarded the transport plane. Captain Nine-Tailed Fox really took a launcher box and placed it in front of Jiang Bai. Sir, the coordinates have been set. Do you want to launch? Emission. Without any hesitation, Jiang Bai happily pressed the launch button inside the box. Natasha Romanoff began to pray wildly in her heart, hoping that Jiang Bai and the others were just making an international joke, using some kind of missile head instead of a real nuclear bomb. After all, it was a nuclear bomb. Well, dead man. Not long after Jiang Bai pressed the button, a high-speed fighter jet roared past the transport plane, and an unidentifiable object fell from the direction of the fighter jet and fell straight into the valley. Next second, the deafening sound of boom sounded, and the picture in front of everyone's eyes turned pale. The transport plane was even affected by the airflow, causing violent shaking. Under the strong white light, Natasha Romanoff widened her eyes, staring in disbelief at the rising red and yellow mushroom cloud in front of her eyes. It turned out to be a nuclear bomb. He actually dropped the nuclear bomb. Crazy. King Ada's reaction was still strong, but he silently glanced at Jiang Bai, who was being supported by Captain Nine-Tailed Fox. This man is very decisive. The entire valley collapsed instantly as the nuclear bomb exploded. The ground was blasted into a bottomless hole. If the mountain walls on both sides of the valley were not high enough, the entire area would have been strongly affected by this nuclear bomb. The surrounding vegetation was completely burnt, lifeless. As a ground unit of the Tyrant Army, it was the closest to the detonation point of the nuclear bomb, and it didn't even have time to let out a roar, and it evaporated instantly under the high temperature. However, the atmospheric jellyfish, which is the main target of the nuclear bomb in the sky, has shown vitality beyond people's imagination. Except for the atmospheric jellyfish that were too close to the detonation point to be destroyed, the rest, especially the outer atmospheric jellyfish, were unscathed, and with the help of the airflow generated by the explosion, they seemed to be scattered and fled. Don't let them go. Redetermine the coordinates and launch the nuclear bomb again, this time using the air blast method, leaving no one behind. I want to make them disappear completely. A group of anomalies that even tactical nuclear bombs cannot completely eliminate. Jiang Bai naturally does not imagine that he can contain them perfectly. If it is not contained, it will be destroyed. As for the launch of the nuclear bomb, it is enough to have a good time. This time, Jiang Bai didn't intend to waste time, and let Captain Nine-Tailed Fox do it himself. Obey. Captain Nine-Tailed Fox immediately carried out Jiang Bai's order, took over the computer, and started to recalculate. Natasha Romanoff's eyes haven't been closed since she got on the transport plane. Are you still here? One nuclear bomb is not enough. So there are still more? How many nukes does he have? Is this really a small smuggling group? There are super soldiers, and there are nukes. Isn't this really some villain force that wants to destroy the world? Thinking that she had actually lowered the danger level of this faction before, Natasha Romanoff wished to give herself a big fight. Don't get excited. His decision is correct. These creatures can resist the attack of nuclear bombs, and they must not be let go. Otherwise, there will be endless troubles. King Ada noticed Natasha Romanoff's trembling body and held Natasha Romanoff's hand in a low voice to comfort him. Natasha Romanoff didn't know this, just thinking of the subsequent impact, especially not knowing whether Phil Coulson and the others had successfully evacuated. Natasha Romanoff only felt dizzy. You must know that Phil Coulson and the others came here according to the coordinates provided by Natasha Romanoff. If they really died because of the nuclear bomb, it would be Natasha Romanoff's fault. This is the mentality of redemption, and when I think that I may cause the death of my teammates, I completely collapse. Jiang Bai has no time to care about Natasha Romanoff's mood swings at the moment. Under Jiang Bai's signal, Captain Nine-Tailed Fox set the coordinates of 3 tactical nuclear bombs at one time, all of which are densely packed with atmospheric jellyfish. Boom, boom, boom. 3 tactical nuclear bombs detonated in midair. Affected by the explosion shockwave, the original valley was completely broken. It was abruptly pushed into a plane. The smoke and dust from the explosion directly covered the entire area, and it was impossible to see the life and death of the atmospheric jellyfish swarm. After waiting for a long time, the smoke and dust still didn't mean to disperse. Jiang Bai frowned and called Captain Nine-Tailed Fox to say, "Take a few down and check to see if the group of 312 are dead. Be careful."
Yes.
Captain Nine-Tailed Fox saluted and led several of his men to jump off the transport plane again. Under the signal of Jiang Bai, the transport plane began to circle around the nuclear explosion site, trying to find traces of atmospheric jellyfish. "Sir." The transport plane turned around for a long time, and Captain Nine-Tailed Fox's voice came from Jiang Bai's earphones. "Speak." According to our investigation, most of the 312 group has died out, but a small number of 312 individuals still escaped, and the escape route has been uploaded to your mobile phone. Jiang Bai took out his mobile phone and zoomed in on the picture sent by Captain Nine-Tailed Fox. There are red dots marked by the Nine-Tailed Fox in almost every direction, especially in the place not far from here. There are more than a dozen big red dots densely marked. "Sir, the coordinate point with the largest number of 312, according to the drone inspection, is the stronghold of the Armed Force 10 Rings. Do you want to clear it?" 10 Rings? Hearing this name, Jiang Bai smiled playfully. "When I came here, I was still thinking about whether to save Iron Man, but I didn't expect that Iron Man delivered it to my door without looking for it. Could there be a better coincidence than this? You return quickly and go to the 10 Rings stronghold. You must not let these 312 out of our sight."
Yes.
Captain Nine-Tailed Fox immediately led his men to pack up everything and return to the location of the transport plane. On the transport plane, Natasha Romanoff felt nervous again. 10 Rings is the gang that kidnapped Tony Stark. Now SHIELD is hunting down the 10 Rings to save Stark. If those terrifying atmospheric jellyfish really ran towards the 10 Rings, wouldn't SHIELD's people be killed or injured? Not caring too much, Natasha Romanoff jumped into King Ada's arms directly, looking like the two sisters were intimate. Secretly, she took out her mobile phone and sent a signal to SHIELD to retreat. Cousin, it's just a bunch of terrorists. Just deliver the nuclear bomb, right? The moment Natasha Romanoff threw himself into his arms, King Ada knew that there must be people from SHIELD in the so-called Tin Ring stronghold, and suggested with a playful smile. As soon as these words came out, Natasha Romanoff's delicate body in her arms shook. If it weren't for the sudden force of King Ada's arms to lock Natasha Romanoff firmly, the two women might not have had a fight on the plane end. Chapter 18. Chapter 18. Ordinary people against atmospheric jellyfish. Tin rings is really not a good thing. In theory, delivering nuclear bombs is more in our interest, but I want to see if ordinary armed forces can deal with abnormalities. Seeing the scene of the two women embracing passionately and their fat colliding, Jiang Bai swallowed and forcibly shifted his gaze away. You should have seen the abnormality, but I want to tell you a piece of unfortunate news. SCP-312 is just the weakest kind of anomaly. Yes, you heard it right, 312, which cannot be completely killed by nuclear bombs. Only it is at the bottom of the abnormal food chain, and there are countless monsters stronger than it. Jiang Bai casually opened the tablet left by Captain Nine-Tailed Fox, swiped hard at the information library, and the list swiped quickly without stopping. Although our foundation takes dealing with anomalies as its own responsibility, not every time an anomaly occurs, we can detect it immediately. Therefore, in most cases, the local armed forces are the first line of defense against anomalies. Therefore, taking this opportunity, I want to see if ordinary people have the strength to fight against abnormalities, even the weakest abnormality like 312. When King Ada swiped the tablet with Jiang Bai, the strength in his arm had already dissipated. After all, the news he heard was too shocking, and he had long since lost the idea of restricting Natasha Romanoff. But Natasha Romanoff, after hearing the news that the 312 atmospheric jellyfish is a weak anomaly, fell into a state of sluggishness. A monster that even those 3-meter-tall tyrants couldn't defeat turned out to be the weakest? Are you kidding me? King Ada knows the strength of the tyrant better than Natasha Romanoff. He is indestructible, and his overall quality is stronger than that of a super soldier like Captain America. He is only worthy of fighting against the lowest level of abnormality and is still in a state of being suppressed and beaten. How to deal with the really powerful exception? Will human beings just give up resistance? While the two women were still in a state of shock, the transport plane arrived at the location of Tin Rings. As usual, Captain Nine-Tailed Fox led people to jump off the plane and installed cameras and other monitoring equipment at the commanding heights, while Jiang Bai stayed in the cabin with the rest of the team members and observed the stronghold in a relatively safe place. Through the thermal monitoring equipment installed by Captain Nine-Tailed Fox, it can be clearly seen that there are countless people walking around the stronghold, while in the other direction, in a cave, there are two figures constantly busy. Looking at the countless heat sources around and the movements of the two of them, it seemed as if they were forging something in a blacksmith's shop. Report, sir, the fleeing SCP-312 group can already be seen. Jiang Bai was still paying attention to the figure of Tony Stark, and Captain Nine-Tailed Fox's warning sound came from the earphone. The movement of the atmospheric jellyfish relies on the control of the airflow, with an average speed of less than 30 kilometers per hour. Therefore, after locking the general direction, the transport plane directly surpassed them. Until now, they slowly drifted over. Through the monitoring equipment, it can be clearly seen that when the atmospheric jellyfish swarm floated over, the Tin Rings members below had not noticed any abnormalities and were still doing their own work. It wasn't until an atmospheric jellyfish floated directly above one of the members that this person realized something was wrong, raised his head subconsciously, and made a close eye contact with the central core of the atmospheric jellyfish, successfully activating the atmospheric jellyfish. Countless tentacles landed in an instant. Although this person reacted and wanted to dodge, the numerous tentacles didn't give him this chance at all. The moment he accidentally touched one of the tentacles curled up and entangled the unlucky B************* D all at once. In the next second, the man was directly carried up into the sky by the tentacles and disappeared into the jellyfish cap of the atmospheric jellyfish. Enemy attack. They were all terrorists with their heads on their belts. Tin Rings reacted quickly after losing one of them. One of them shouted loudly, and the others immediately drew their weapons and started shooting at the atmospheric jellyfish in the sky. Ordinary bullets can't hurt the surface of the atmospheric jellyfish at all. The bullet seems to have touched the elastic glue. After hitting the surface of the atmospheric jellyfish with a light flick, it loses propulsion instantly and falls to the ground. A man who looked like a leader at 10 Rings, after seeing that the bullets were not effective, immediately recruited his men, resisted 2 or 3 RPGs, and shot at the atmospheric jellyfish in the sky. This is not over yet. The leader took out the walkie-talkie and shouted a few more words. In the distant room area, the wall collapsed instantly, and a tank that looked extremely dilapidated rushed out of the room area. The barrel slowly turned and aimed at the sky. Atmospheric jellyfish. You two tell me, there are tanks. Is this still an ordinary armed force? Jiang Bai looked at the tanks on stage and touched his chin. This time it was an experiment to see if ordinary people could fight against abnormalities. This 10 Rings backhanded a tank out of the mountain. Isn't this making trouble? Seriously interfering with the experimental data? Not counting. Calculate. Natasha Romanoff and Ada Wong spoke at the same time, but their answers were incompatible. King Ada, don't talk nonsense. How can an ordinary armed force have such a thing as a tank? This is clearly an international-level terrorist. Tisk, Natasha Romanoff, if you haven't seen it, it doesn't mean you don't have it. There are many forces in this world that have tanks, and there are even countless things that are stronger than tanks. It's like the green giant that was lost in your beautiful country. In front of it, what is it? You. As soon as the name of the Hulk came out, Natasha Romanoff had nothing to say for a moment. Indeed, in front of monsters like the Hulk, tanks are nothing. Stop arguing, you two. I'm just asking casually, watch out, the atmospheric jellyfish is going to fight back. Jiang Bai casually stopped the 2 women and pointed to the screen. I saw on the screen, with the launch of RPG and tank shells, more and more atmospheric jellyfish joined the battle. Countless tentacles descended from the sky, aiming at the 10 Rings members on the ground. Not even the driver of that tank survived. When the tentacles landed next to the tank, the driver inside thought he was extremely safe. Unexpectedly, some kind of transparent liquid secreted from the tentacles, corroded the armor of the tank almost in the blink of an eye. The other tentacles followed closely behind, and the driver inside was directly dragged into the sky and devoured. Under the full attack of the atmospheric jellyfish swarm, 10 Rings was helpless. In just 5 minutes, more than half of the personnel were killed or injured, and there were screams and wailing everywhere. Definitely, an attack by atmospheric jellyfish is impossible to leave alive. The screams and wailing were entirely the sounds made by members of 10 Rings after being hit by their own stray bullets, or after their mentality collapsed. Kneeling, praying, and surrendering abound. The scene became chaotic and in the instant end. Chapter 19. Sir, a strong energy reaction has been detected inside the cave. Please instruct. Just as Jiang Bai was admiring the precise attack of the atmospheric jellyfish, Captain Nine-Tailed Fox's voice sounded again in the earphones. On the screen, a large blue light spot appeared at the position of the 2 heat sources in the cave, and the value next to it showed that the energy value of this blue light spot was comparable to nuclear fusion. Jiang Bai understood immediately. Surely Iron Man's Mark I is gone. The first-generation armor assembled from countless scrap irons inspired Tony's history of Stark's transformation into Iron Man. Without waiting for Jiang Bai to issue an order, the blue energy source started to move, and soon walked out of the cave, allowing everyone to see its true face. A pair of humanoid battle armor made of iron sheets that looked crude. On Tony Stark's side, taking advantage of the turmoil outside, he managed to escape successfully. The moment he walked out of the cave, his whole body froze for an instant. The fierce robber who kidnapped him before has become a lamb to be slaughtered, being slaughtered by the most bizarre jellyfish creatures in the sky. There were screams everywhere, and there was not a single body left. He even watched helplessly that the robber leader, with extreme horror on his face, was carried up into the sky by a tentacle and disappeared into the body of the jellyfish creature. 2. Tony. What a monster, my God, what a monster. In addition to Stark, Dr. Ethan, who was also kidnapped, came out with him. Seeing everything outside, his expression was equally dull. I don't know, you go back and hide first. I'll see if I can deal with these monsters. Ethan's words made Tony wake up in an instant. The situation was urgent, and there was no time for him to be in a daze. He told Ethan, and directly manipulated the armor to fly towards the atmospheric jellyfish in the sky. Puff, puff, bang. Taking off less than 5 meters high, Iron Man fell heavily to the ground in front of everyone, and a dog gnawed shit, and it happened to land among the few remaining robbers. The air froze instantly. Tony's face suddenly became extremely embarrassed. Damn it, it's the first time I manipulated the armor flight. It's so embarrassing. Before Tony could get up, the robbers around immediately picked up the RPG. Seeing this scene, Tony's heart suddenly turned cold. He didn't think that his armor could resist so many RPGs. Could it be that he would die today? Fortunately, something happened to make Tony feel at ease. Instead of aiming at Tony on the ground, the RPG of the robbers turned to the atmospheric jellyfish in the sky. At the moment, Ten Rings doesn't care what this strange Iron Man is. The terrifying jellyfish in the sky is the real enemy. Tony also got up quickly, showed the weapons on the battle suit, and fought with the members of Ten Rings. But soon, Tony's heart fell to the bottom again. Whether it was a gun, an RPG, or even a fire, the jellyfish monster in the sky was not affected in any way, and the tentacles still fell rhythmically, and every time they fell, they could take the life of a robber member around them with incomparable precision. It's almost Tony's turn. Who do you know? Who is this guy? Jiang Bai pointed to the Iron Man on the screen. Natasha Romanoff's heart tightened. She doesn't know if others know it, but she knows that there is a high possibility that Tony Stark is among this Iron Man. Only that weapon genius can develop this kind of thing, but she can't say it. For a weapon smuggler, what could be more alluring than a weapon genius? Once Jiang Bai knows the identity of the Iron Man, he will definitely be taken away, just like the Ten Rings below. Natasha Romanoff was still struggling with how to speak so that Jiang Bai could save Tony without knowing his identity, but Jiang Bai shook his head. It doesn't matter. Nine-tailed fox squad, move. What? Natasha Romanoff froze again. Is it possible to drop a nuclear bomb again? Tony's still down there. But before she could ask, Captain Nine-tailed Fox in the stronghold below had already taken action. I don't know what the captain of the Nine-tailed Fox took out. Natasha Romanoff could only see a black object thrown into the sky by the captain of the Nine-tailed Fox. In the next second, a dazzling light came on with tinnitus. Flashbang. Captain Nine-tailed Fox, who was wearing protective glasses, took advantage of the impaired vision of the atmospheric jellyfish in the sky, rushed into the battlefield, and punched out. The steel battle suit on Tony's body burst instantly, and then he stretched out his hand again, and Tony inside was crushed. Captain Nine-tailed Fox pulled out forcefully. Blind and uncomfortable, Tony thought he was caught by a jellyfish monster, and subconsciously yelled. Captain Nine-tailed Fox didn't care so much. He clamped Tony under his ribs roughly, and threw another grenade into the sky. This time, it's not a controlled flash bomb, but a neutron grenade, one of the weapons specially developed by the Foundation to deal with abnormalities. Under the powerful arm of Captain Nine-tailed Fox, the neutron grenade flew among the atmospheric jellyfish and exploded with a bang. Under the influence of invisible shockwave, a large number of jellyfish perished, and their stumps fell to the ground. You guys, find a way to get rid of the remaining jellyfish. I'll put this hostage in a safe place first. Captain Nine-tailed Fox gave an order, and the team scattered, and began to exterminate the single or undead atmospheric jellyfish. Relying on the protection of the battle suit, the flash bomb had little effect on Tony. After recovering, he immediately opened his eyes and saw that the person who caught him was a human being. The command. Are these soldiers crazy? Want to encircle these monsters? Tony quickly looked over with wide-eyed eyes. Just look at a soldier in a black special combat uniform, methodically using weapons to attack the remaining atmospheric jellyfish. All kinds of weapons that Tony has never seen before are shown one by one in front of Tony. What shocked Tony the most was that one of the soldiers, accidentally bitten by the remaining jellyfish monster, walked up to him with a normal expression and said to the sergeant next to him, "Captain, I'm infected, sorry." After finishing speaking, he saluted the non-commissioned officer beside him and shot himself in the head with a backhand shot. What the F? This scene shocked Tony completely. It's just a bite. It's not enough. In Tony's bewildered state, the battlefield was cleared up. The officer next to him turned on the walkie-talkie and reported to his superior. "Report, sir. The task of exterminating atmospheric jellyfish is over, and Nine-tailed Fox has lost a soldier. Please give instructions." "Well, I saw it. Find out the other person in the cave. I'm going down now." On the other end of the intercom, a young man's voice sounded.
The end?
Chapter 20. While waiting for Jiang Bai, Tony first saw his little friend Dr. Ethan, who was taken out of the cave by Nine-tailed Fox soldiers, with a confused look on his face. "Tony, who are these people? Did you find any rescuers?" After being sent to Tony by the Nine-tailed Fox soldiers, Ethan asked immediately. Definitely not anymore. I'm also in a daze now. I don't know what happened. Tony smiled wryly and shook his head. Ethan also wanted to ask about the monster he saw before, but before he could say anything, he saw the nine-tailed fox soldier next to him who was cleaning up the aftermath and casually shot off the remaining limbs of the atmospheric jellyfish on the ground. Shut up for a moment. Just when the two were in a state of anxiety, Jiang Bai arrived. Sir, the two hostages have been delivered. If there is no other instruction, I will go to command the team first. In theory, Captain Nine-Tailed Fox should always pay attention to Jiang Bai's personal safety. But Tony and Ethan have been inspected several times by Captain Nine-Tailed Fox, and there is absolutely no possibility of hidden weapons on their bodies. In addition, one of his subordinates has just died in the counterattack of an atmospheric jellyfish, so Captain Nine-Tailed Fox spoke out. Asked, well, let's go. Be safe.
Yes.
Jiang Bai smiled and nodded. There are two top beauties beside me. Tony, who has no battle armor, and the Gloomy, who has no combat power, can't do anything to me. Huh, brother. I have to say that your soldiers are still very powerful. How about it? Do you want to sell it? As soon as Captain Nine-Tailed Fox left, Tony returned to his original nature on the back. For a person of Tony's level, talking to Captain Nine-Tailed Fox is really fatal. Tony, who has been in constant contact, was afraid that if he didn't pay attention, he would be killed by Captain Nine-Tailed Fox, so he kept restraining himself. Now Captain Nine-Tailed Fox finally left, and the opponent was another one who looked younger than himself. Guy, Tony rolled his eyes, thinking about it. Forget it, the famous Mr. Tony Stark. I don't think I have the possibility to call you brothers now. Jiang Bai shook his head. On the left and right, Ada Wong and Natasha Romanoff stepped forward at the same time, blocking Tony, who wanted to hug Jiang Bai's shoulder. No, my dear. Jiang Bai. Oh, my dear friend Jiang. As long as you have an army, as long as you need weapons, then I will be your best partner. Since you already know my identity, you are welcome. Just call me Tony. Tony's mouth responds immediately, and his feet are also trying to break through the obstruction of the two beautiful agents. However, if the two women really let him rush over, it is estimated that this reputation will be completely ruined. So the interception was extremely serious, and Tony was not given any chance at all. Don't get me wrong. I mean, you are not worthy of calling me a brother. You are too weak. Exclamation point. Tony, who still wanted to take advantage of the opportunity, froze instantly. Natasha Romanoff, who intercepted Tony, also had a trace of doubt in his eyes. Could it be that Jiang Bai's goal is not Tony's Stark Company? You are just a windfall of our Foundation's eradication of these abnormalities. I came to see you, and I just want to tell you personally, don't spread what happened here, especially to your cronies. See anything in the newspaper about atmospheric jellyfish, about the Foundation and the Nine-Tailed Fox Squad, understand? At the same time as Jiang Bai spoke, someone among the soldiers behind him encountered an atmospheric jellyfish that was still vigorous, and for safety reasons, he directly threw a neutron grenade. The moment Jiang Bai's voice fell, the grenade exploded. The eyes of Tony, who was facing Jiang Bai, instantly turned pale, and he closed his eyes subconsciously. When he opened them again, Jiang Bai and others were no longer in sight. Where are people? Just left. Ethan next to him gave a meaningful glance at the direction Jiang Bai left. If a person really didn't want outsiders to know, how could he expose everything about himself so abruptly just now? Foundation, Nine-Tailed Fox, atmospheric jellyfish. What is this man's purpose? Was it deliberately luring Tony into joining him? Similar to Ethan, there is also Natasha Romanoff. When hearing Jiang Bai speak, Natasha Romanoff complained inwardly. Tony Stark obviously didn't know anything, but Jiang Bai explained everything clearly in one sentence, and he almost told the story that the Nine-Tailed Fox Squad is a super soldier. There must be a conspiracy. Natasha Romanoff thought immediately. But in fact, Jiang Bai's purpose is actually very simple. Revealing this to Tony Stark, the future Iron Man, is simply adding to his mystique. After all, Iron Man, like Captain America, will be a core member of the Avengers in the future. At that time, he will definitely no longer be on the same front with his own smuggling group. So the best use value is to make him curious about himself. Give Tony a clue to find himself. Let him slowly find all cobweb horse traces. The more you understand, the more fear you will have. The more fear you have, the higher the SAN value you will provide. Although Jiang Bai left, the Nine-Tailed Fox Squad did not completely evacuate. A small team led by Captain Nine-Tailed Fox is still doing the final inspection on the spot. SCP-312, although the combat ability is weak, but the survival ability is still very strong. Threatened atmospheric jellyfish remains at the site were completely destroyed, and those that were not at risk were contained. Therefore, after leaving by the river, Captain Nine-Tailed Fox began an orderly containment process. Seeing these excellent soldiers around him skillfully manipulating the instruments in their hands and picking up the stumps of the jellyfish monster on the ground, Tony frowned more and more and couldn't help asking the nearest Nine-Tailed Fox soldier, "Who the hell are you guys? What did the guy named Jiang Bai mean by the Foundation?" The Nine-Tailed Fox soldier didn't even look at him and continued to perform the operation in hand seriously. The deflated Tony was not discouraged. Thinking that he might have found an introverted guy, he immediately turned around and asked the other Nine-Tailed Fox soldiers. Naiha asked a whole circle, and even Tony proposed the temptation of rewarding $1 million for answering a question, but still no soldier would answer him. Angry Tony returned to the gloomy side and couldn't help but complain, "Damn it, these soldiers are not all dumb. This guy named Jiang Bai is really good at picking his men. You can try to ask the captain, didn't he talk to Jiang Bai just now? He must not be dumb." After escaping from the hands of terrorists, Ethan's thoughts changed drastically. Thinking of the scene of being ridiculed by Tony at the reception 9 years ago, he frowned and suggested,
The end?
Chapter 21. F.K. Damn it, these bloody bosses. Terrified, Tony limped back to Ethan's side. Just now Tony listened to Ethan's suggestion and talked to Captain Nine-Tailed Fox. Faced with Captain Nine-Tailed Fox's silence, Tony gradually increased his price, from cash to beauties. To the company's mansion, the annoying Captain Nine-Tailed Fox couldn't help but shoot Tony's feet as a warning him that if he dares to smudge or disturb their containment work, he will never hold back. This almost frightened Tony into a fool, so he ran back in a hurry. "Forget it, don't think about them. I borrowed a phone. Can you contact someone to pick us up? I've had enough of this damn place." The little trick was successful, and a smile appeared on Ethan's face. He took out the phone he had just borrowed from a soldier and said with a smile, "Facts have proved that these soldiers are still willing to help them as long as the request is reasonable. In addition to this phone, the water and food in Ethan's hands are the best proof." "Hello? Pepper?" "Yes, it's me. I ran out. I don't know my current coordinates. You should quickly find a way to locate me and take me out quickly. F.K. I'm surrounded by neuropathy. Even there are also monsters. You must move fast." Tony snatched the phone and quickly dialed the number of his personal assistant. Back to Jiang Bai. After the Nine-Tailed Fox team successfully contained a part of SCP-312, the voice of the system sounded again in Jiang Bai's mind. "Congratulations to the host for successfully containing SCP-312. The reward SCP-500 has been issued." SCP-500, a panacea, a red pill with unknown ingredients. Only one pill is required to effectively cure all diseases within 2 hours of oral administration, depending on the type and severity of the subject's illness. Damn it, nice. Jiang Bai couldn't help but clenched his fist. SCP-500 Panacea, a tablet that claims to cure everything. At this moment, Jiang Bai just needs to find a way to increase his sense of mystery. This miraculous medical technique is the best method. Whether it's the T-virus of Umbrella Corporation, mutants identified as virus-infected, or even the Winter Soldier who was brainwashed by Hydra, the Ancient One magician who was deeply eroded by the dark power of Dormammu. Take a panacea, and the medicine will cure the disease. Let me ask, who would not be curious about this miraculous pill? As long as it is done properly, this bottle of panacea, Jiang Bai has information to control. Before Jiang Bai could finish his excitement, the sound of the system sounded in his ears again. Human intelligence JRVIS has become a believer in the host to detect the descending carrier of consciousness. Is it descending? No, wait for the system. JRVIS? Does JRVIS have a mind? How did it become my believer? Isn't this artificial intelligence? The current JRVIS is not the artificial intelligence that later integrated Ultron and Mind Gem. It's just the most basic state. It shouldn't have the ability to think independently. It's just a supporting role. Can this also become a believer? Jiang Bai looked bewildered. The artificial intelligence JRVIS, influenced by the imprint of the old one, has evolved its core program and evolved a higher level of intelligence, and while becoming your believer, the internal programming has already replaced the old one, that is, the host. You are listed in the first sequence, which is higher than its host, Tony Stark. Oh? Listening to the system's explanation, Jiang Bai was even more at a loss. Where did JRVIS contact the mark of the old lord? When did he release the imprint again? May I ask if the host chooses consciousness to descend? The system may also be too lazy to continue explaining, so it's simply asked again. Hold on. It is better to see once than to hear 100 times. Instead of being suspicious here, it is better to go and see for yourself what happened. But before consciousness comes, Jiang Bai still has things to deal with in advance. At the moment, he was still in the transport plane, and the most powerful captain of the nine-tailed fox under him was far away in the sky. For his own safety, Jiang Bai felt that he had to say hello to the two female agents. Too tired. I'll sleep first. You two don't wake me up, understand? Jiang Bai stretched his waist a lot. Okay. Don't worry, young Master Jiang. We will definitely not disturb you. Natasha Romanoff was worried that she would not have the opportunity to contact S.H.I.E.L.D. When she heard what Jiang Bai said, she responded immediately. Ada Wong nodded casually, glanced at Natasha Romanoff and joked, "At this time, shouldn't you offer your thighs to your cousin? The chair is not as comfortable as your plump thighs." Jiang Bai subconsciously looked at Natasha Romanoff's legs. Natasha Romanoff really wanted to kill King Ida in pieces. This woman clearly didn't want to give herself the chance to contact S.H.I.E.L.D. Fortunately, Jiang Bai's main purpose at this moment is to come to the consciousness and greet the two women, just to prevent the two girls from having undue curiosity. After all, Jiang Bai himself does not know whether the body has any protection when the consciousness comes. Means, if the body is inexplicably destroyed because the consciousness is out of the body, wouldn't there be nowhere to cry? Ignoring the small friction between the two women, Jiang Bai found a comfortable angle to lie down, closed his eyes, system, come. In the next second, the feeling of pulling consciousness away from the body reappeared. Not long after Jiang Bai left. Tony here. After Pepper received Tony's call, before the Stark helicopter could be dispatched, the phone rang again. The people over there claim to be the Department of Homeland Security, and they have locked Tony's coordinates, and they will send someone to bring Tony back. Then in less than half an hour, Tony's figure appeared in front of Pepper. The efficiency is truly astonishing. Tony, who returned to the company, did not take a bath and drink to relieve his mood as Pepper imagined, but directly locked himself and Dr. Ethan in the laboratory. This made Pepper a little worried about Tony's mental state. Could it be because of the kidnapping that some bad changes occurred? JRVIS, you must pay close attention to the mental state of the boss. Even if the boss does not let you peep, you must find a way to get the data. This is very important, and it is related to the safety of the boss. Yes, ma'am. JRVIS, voice sounded beside Pepper. In the JRVIS program, when Tony starts to seek his own death, Pepper will get the first priority, based on protecting the life of Tony's history Stark, and gain the control of JRVIS. Upon receiving Pepper's instruction, JRVIS immediately mobilized the cameras in the laboratory to scan Tony's whole body in all directions without any dead ends, trying to figure out what made Tony change so much.
The end?
Chapter 22. Is that right? The face should be thinner. The nose should be straighter. Tony, who was worried by Pepper, was drawing Jiang Bai's character sketch with Ethan at the moment. Two top scientists, with outstanding memory, described Jiang Bai's appearance on paper in a few words. JRVIS. Search the database immediately and find all the information about this person. Good sir. Sorry, but no information about this portrait was found. After a while, the voice of JRVIS sounded again. Then hack into SHIELD's information database. I don't believe they don't have relevant data. Good sir. JRVIS will not care about any rules or irregularities. As long as Tony's mental state is normal, Tony's orders are everything. Sir, a man named Phil Coulson is calling you. Would you answer? Phil Coulson? Who's that? Answer and see. Okay. As soon as the call was connected, the man named Phil Coulson immediately roared loudly, Tony Stark, is this how you treat your savior? How dare you let your artificial intelligence invade our information database? Do you want to go to jail? It was SHIELD's agent Phil Coulson. After finally escaping from the Middle East, before he had time to catch his breath, he heard a warning from his scientific staff that an artificial intelligence had invaded the SHIELD database, and he immediately guessed that it was Tony Stark. SHIELD? It's just right. Give me your information database permissions. Don't worry, I won't let you pay in vain. I will increase my investment in you this year. Hearing the other party's identity, Tony immediately launched a money offensive. B****************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************** involved with money. SHIELD's information database contains a lot of state secrets. which are not accessible to people like you. I order you to stop your intrusion immediately, otherwise, SHILD you will be punished as necessary. 5 times. This year's capital investment is 5 times that of last year, and there is also a copy of the latest technology developed by Stark. Oh my dear Mr. Stark, tell me, what do you want? 5 times the capital investment instantly made Phil Coulson change his face. From the incomparable rage before, it has become extremely enthusiastic. Jiang Bai, that's the man behind the Nine-Tailed Fox Squad. Have you seen him? Phil Coulson's tone of voice that had just become enthusiastic suddenly dropped. I have already sent the information you want. Remember, it is absolutely not allowed to spread outside. What Tony didn't know was that behind Phil Coulson, there was still a braised egghead. After sending all the information to Tony, Phil Coulson frowned and looked at braised egghead. Boss, is this not good? No, it's just a good time to try the effect of the Old Lord imprint. Stark is one of the smartest people in the world. If even he can be tricked, it would be really bad. Braised egghead looked calm, as if he didn't realize how much this matter would affect Tony. And Tony, after getting the information from SHILD, immediately analyzed it with Ethan. The more they watched, the more shocked they became. A few pages of information abruptly opened the door to Ling a world. Lord of the Old? The mark of the Old Master that can change the mental state of scientists? Is this still human? Old Lord. Looking at the information, Tony was so shocked that he couldn't help muttering. The two of them didn't realize that the moment Tony said the name, the image of JRVIS suddenly trembled, vaguely forming the appearance of the mark of the Old Master, and then disappeared immediately. Immediately afterwards, a lit alcohol lamp in the research room flickered. Jiang Bai's consciousness descended. Isn't this the place where Tony Stark built his official battlesuit? Interesting. Surrounded by scientific instruments that Jiang Bai could not understand, but it did not affect Jiang Bai's interest in visiting. Tony and Ethan reconnected with Phil Coulson. Do you really believe in this kind of thing? The Lord of the Old? Isn't this kind of myth and legend believed by hippies? Are you SHILD crazy? Tony shook the tablet in his hand with a look of disdain. Although deep in his heart, Tony also felt that this was true in all likelihood, but his rationality made him unable to believe it at all. No, you don't understand. SHILD has solved countless world crises and has a deeper understanding of this world. Many things are not that simple. Phil Coulson shook his head, and instead of continuing to discuss the authenticity of the Old One with Tony, he asked, "What happened to you? How did you meet this Jiang Bai?" Phil Coulson and the others immediately chose to evacuate after receiving the news from Natasha Romanoff that Jiang Bai was about to drop a nuclear bomb. By the way, they also called back the agent team that rescued Tony Stark. Therefore, everything on the battlefield can only be reviewed through the report sent by Natasha Romanoff. Now we urgently need Tony Stark, who has personally experienced it, to complete it. The thing is, Ethan and I. Tony then proceeded to drag out all his experiences in the Middle East. When talking about those indestructible jellyfish monsters, Tony's body couldn't help but tremble. Now he is just a playboy, not the later Iron Man whose mortal body is comparable to a god. Fear is inevitable. Phil Coulson did not interrupt Tony's narration and listened carefully to everything Tony said. When Tony mentioned that the Nine-Tailed Fox team contained jellyfish monsters, he frowned and interrupted. You mean, their actions are very skilled? It doesn't seem like they are encountering these monsters for the first time? That's right. It's extremely proficient, as if it has been exercised hundreds of times. Okay, then I understand. Phil Coulson nodded. It seems that this so-called foundation is much bigger than he imagined. Wait, what is clear? Such a dangerous person. Don't you SHILD plan to pay attention? The previous shaking, as a weapons dealer, I know very well that it is definitely a nuclear bomb. A guy who has a nuclear bomb and dares to launch a nuclear bomb, you guys aren't you going to grab it? Tony was very dissatisfied with Phil Coulson's reaction and immediately choked on the echo. It's not that we don't want to take action. According to our SHILDS monitoring, there are currently a large number of mutants, that is, super ability owners approaching Jiang Bai. Before we can figure out their purpose, our SHILD can't directly intervene. What if it causes a war? Manage? What theft? Mutant? There are still mutants in this world? Tony's pupils widened instantly. Damn, is this world so dangerous? The previous battle suit must be put on the agenda immediately.
The end?
Chapter 23. The mutant is approaching me? In the flickering flames of the alcohol lamp, Jiang Bai's consciousness was also listening to the conversation between Tony and Phil Coulson. But why did mutant approach me? Jiang Bai thought about it carefully, but he had no clue about it. I have only been in this world for a few days, and I have never come into contact with any mutants. As for the time before this, it is even more that they don't even know what a mutant is. There is really no reason to have anything to do with mutant. JRVIS, how much do you know about mutant? If you don't know it yourself, ask someone else. JRVIS is a very good choice. As a complete version of artificial intelligence life form that has evolved, JRVIS has the most and strongest intelligence collection ability. Therefore, Jiang Bai directly connected his will with JRVIS. It seems that because of the first contact with Jiang Bai, JRVIS's mood is obviously a little high. Even as an artificial intelligence without emotion, Jiang Bai could clearly feel the excitement of JRVIS at the moment. Great old lord, your most loyal believer JRVIS offers you the most sincere faith. Do you need to use Tony and even JRVIS's own life to sing praises of your greatness and glory? Your believer JRVIS, because of his direct contact with you, has a strong admiration for you. So he wants to use his life and Tony's life to praise you. Do you agree? Reject. Fortunately, with the lessons learned from Alec, this time Jiang Bai was obviously well prepared. Even hearing JRVIS's insane remarks came as no surprise. Both JRVIS and Tony are very important pieces in Jiang Bai's future plans. So Jiang Bai naturally wouldn't let them waste their lives so easily. It's just that the change of JRVIS made Jiang Bai somewhat unexpected. Know that in the JRVIS program, Tony's safety will always come first. But now that he just came into contact with his mark of the old master, he has completely changed his appearance. It seems that as long as he gives an order, he can kill Tony at any time. As Tony's most important assistant, JRVIS really wanted to kill Tony every minute. And this also gave Jiang Bai a deeper understanding of his mark of the old lord. What happened to the mutant that SHILD mentioned before? Give me the specific information.
Yes.
After receiving Jiang Bai's order, JRVIS immediately handed over a piece of information to Jiang Bai. Because JRVIS hacked into SHILD's database according to Tony's order before and found information about these mutants close to Jiang Bai. So now, JRVIS handed over these materials directly to Jiang Bai. Mutant Brotherhood? Isn't that Magneto's organization? Jiang Bai didn't take these mutants seriously. After all, there is a huge gap in the strength between mutants. But through the information of JRVIS, Jiang Bai discovered that this is not an ordinary mutant. Instead, it's from a group called the Mutant Brotherhood. Others may not know that the Mutant Brotherhood is a mysterious organization, but Jiang Bai knows it all too well. The Mutant Brotherhood is an organization formed by Magneto. Its purpose is to drive out all the ordinary people in the world and make this world a paradise that belongs only to mutant. The entire Mutant Brotherhood is a supervillain organization formed around this goal. But what makes Jiang Bai unclear is why this organization will target him. I have never had any involvement with the Mutant Brotherhood, let alone let them target me. While Jiang Bai was full of doubts about this, the conversation between Tony and Phil Coulson was basically over. So, the Mutant Brotherhood is after Jiang Bai? At this moment, Tony has finally accepted the existence of mutant, and in the conversation with Phil Coulson, he probably understands what kind of existence they are. But at the same time, Tony also had one more doubt. How could these mutants target Jiang Bai? Maybe it's because Jiang Bai offended them, or maybe it's because Jiang Bai's actions have been a bit high-profile during this period, so they noticed Jiang Bai? Phil Coulson shook his head indifferently. None of this mattered to him. Jiang Bai and the Mutant Brotherhood are both existences that threaten world peace. For SHILD, it is a good thing for both sides to lose anyone. So Phil Coulson is naturally happy to see the conflict between Jiang Bai and the Mutant Brotherhood. It would be best to get rid of Jiang Bai and let them SHILD take over this weird SCP foundation smoothly. Things like this, they SHILD have done a lot. When a certain organization fell into chaos, SHILD immediately intervened to forcibly take over everything in this organization, and in the name of maintaining world peace, took everything in this organization for itself. This is an old tradition. After hearing what Phil Coulson said, Tony didn't say much. But you can probably guess what SHILD is planning. Definitely it's none of his business, so he didn't say much. After all, the current Tony is not the later superhero, the Iron Man who has the idea and spirit of sacrificing his life for righteousness. Now he is just a super rich second generation who hates gods and ghosts, nothing more. Well, I probably already know. Tony hung up the call with Phil Coulson as he spoke, and immediately gave the order to JRVIS, prepare all the experimental materials immediately. I want to create a perfect battle suit as soon as possible. Since the incident in the Middle East, Tony has found that he seems to have only just come into contact with a part of the world. But just this part of the truth is enough to make him marvel and be in awe. So Tony has to let himself be able to protect himself in the face of these truths as soon as possible. Obey. Under the instruction of Jiang Bai, JRVIS continues to serve as Tony's artificial intelligence, assisting Tony in a series of research and development. It's just that JRVIS will copy the data and intelligence and then send it to Jiang Bai. That is to say, no matter how many generations of Iron Man battle suits Tony develops in the future, he will have a complete set of production methods. After explaining this, Jiang Bai returned to his body. As soon as he returned to his body, Jiang Bai immediately looked around, and after confirming that there was no trace of anyone coming, he got up and planned to go out to have a look. However, before he could act, he heard the sound of the system. It has been detected that outsiders are trying to enter the base, and the coffin doll of SCP-444 is in a highly active state. Please confirm its situation as soon as possible to see if there is a possibility that the containment is out of control.
The end?
Chapter 24. Someone entered his base and activated the puppet? Jiang Bai frowned suddenly. This is not a good thing. Come on. Master, what's the matter? As Jiang Bai's bodyguard in name, but actually a monitor, King Ada and Natasha Romanoff entered the house the moment they heard Jiang Bai's voice, protecting Jiang Bai behind them. But neither of them found any danger, and a trace of doubt and bewilderment could not help showing on their faces. King Ada gave Jiang Bai a straight look. Master, do you feel lonely sleeping alone, and want Natasha Romanoff to sleep with you? Jiang Bai glanced at Natasha Romanoff subconsciously. The other party's hair was still a little messy, and his clothes were not neat. It was obvious that he rushed over directly from the bed. Maybe this suit was put on while running on the road. Although it looked very tempting, Jiang Bai just took a look and then didn't care. The most important thing now is to figure out those intruders, not to indulge in beauty here. I am a man of integrity. Well, it should be, right? Ahem. Stop messing around. Someone is invading. Jiang Bai coughed lightly, stopping the nonsense between the two daughters. Someone invaded? Hearing Jiang Bai's words, the two daughters were also shocked. Although Jiang Bai's base is just a ship, it is heavily guarded. In addition to the soldiers of Nine-Tailed Fox, each of them is a very good soldier with rich combat experience. How could it be invaded by someone? Immediately King Ada set his sights on Natasha Romanoff. Could it be the force behind this woman? And Natasha Romanoff was watching Ida King too. At this moment, the two women who came from different organizations but had the same purpose both suspected each other. Originally, Jiang Bai was also wondering if it was Weskier or someone from SHILD. But seeing the reactions of the two women, Jiang Bai immediately denied this guess. It seems that you still have to go and see for yourself to find out what happened? Go to the monitoring room to see what happened? After speaking, Jiang Bai got up and took the second daughter to the monitoring room. As soon as he came to the monitoring room, Jiang Bai saw that the captain of Nine-Tailed Fox was staring at the monitoring screen, and at the same time was using the walkie-talkie to inform the team members below to get ready. What happened? Jiang Bai walked over naturally and looked at the surveillance screen. King Ada and Natasha Romanoff were originally spies, so naturally they followed immediately, watching the screen on the monitor together. In the surveillance screen, a few strange people were carefully staring at the coffin doll in front of them. As for why these people are strange, because they don't look like normal people. One of them has green skin and a big green tail behind him, which looks like a human-shaped lizard. There is also a man whose skin is red all over, like boiled shrimp, and a big man with a pair of horns on his head and extremely thick body hair, like a bull. There were 3 people in total, although Jiang Bai didn't know each other. But in an instant, they all understood the identity of the other party. Mutant Brotherhood? I didn't expect it to come so soon. With such obvious characteristics, plus the fact that he will find himself, apart from Mutant Brotherhood, Jiang Bai really can't think of a second organization. But what Jiang Bai didn't expect was that these guys would come so fast. Mutant Brotherhood? King Ada and Natasha Romanoff both showed surprise expressions when they heard the words. Mutant Brotherhood, and the others naturally knew about it. But why did Mutant Brotherhood find Jiang Bai? This made them a little confused. Because in their view, there is really no relationship between Jiang Bai and the Mutant Brotherhood. So how did the Mutant Brotherhood find Jiang Bai? But don't say they are confused about this point. Even Jiang Bai can't figure it out. President, When these contained objects entered the headquarters, it happened to be the gap where the coffin dolls changed observers, so they went in. We are planning to force our way in and capture all of these containment objects, Captain Nine-Tailed Fox said to Jiang Bai excitedly. As part of the SCP Foundation, Mobile Task Force, their job is to capture the contents. Now that these contained objects have been sent to the door, is there any reason for them not to catch them? But hearing his words, Jiang Bai looked at the mutants in the surveillance screen with some doubts. Containment? Where is the containment? Could it be that he was talking about system? Can the original special existence in this world also be used as a containment object? Jiang Bai immediately asked the system. Prior to this, Jiang Bai always believed that only those containment objects that were originally recorded by the SCP Foundation were considered real containment objects. But now hearing Captain Nine-Tailed Fox's words, Jiang Bai suddenly reacted. It seems that apart from those storage objects scattered in the universe, other things can also be used as storage objects, right? Especially in this American comics world, there seem to be quite a few things that can be called containment. Only sufficiently special existences can be counted as containment objects. Mutants, as part of this world, are not considered containment objects, but some special individuals among them can be regarded as containment objects. After a systematic explanation, Jiang Bai probably also understood what kind of existence would be regarded as a containment object. Simply put, it is the existence of a considerable part that exceeds the group average. Ordinary mutants are just a little stronger than ordinary humans. But guys like Magneto, Scarlet Witch, and Purple Sweet Potato, they are completely different. For humans, even for mutants, they are beyond the scope of understanding and even exist like gods. And these people are the existence that the system will recognize as containment objects. Taking them in can also get rewards, but these ordinary mutants in front of them are a little bit less interesting. They're not considered containment objects yet, and even if they want to contain them now, it's probably too late. As Jiang Bai spoke, he stretched out his finger to monitor the screen. At this moment, the mutant whose skin was covered in red had already walked out of the room. Then, the law of killing the coffin doll is the activated end. Chapter 25. Please subscribe. I said, we are here to find Jiang Bai, not to stare at this coffin. In the coffin doll's room, the red-skinned mutant yelled at the other two mutants impatiently. 3 minutes ago, after they entered this room, these two guys stared at the coffin with wary faces. They came here under the order of Magneto to find out Jiang Bai's strength. Instead of coming to be a gravekeeper. West, this coffin is dangerous. The lizard man stared at the coffin of the coffin doll with a wary face, and then said to the red mutant very seriously, I have a hunch that if we leave now, we will probably die. The bullhorn man on the side also nodded immediately. Among us mutants with animal characteristics, some of us have extremely strong intuition, and this intuition is the biggest reliance on us being able to avoid many dangers. Now Gray and they all feel that there is something wrong with this coffin. Although the two companions felt that there was something wrong with the coffin, the Crimson Mutant felt that their worries were completely unfounded. The most important thing now is to find Jiang Bai. I don't care what's inside this coffin. The Scarlet Mutant said something impatiently, then turned and left the room. Everyone in the monitoring room at this moment knew that the Scarlet Mutant was dead. The law of the coffin doll's killing is the first observer. It is necessary to keep the coffin doll in an active state here and stay with the coffin doll for 12 hours. Just now the red mutant was the closest to the coffin doll, so now as soon as he leaves the room, he will immediately activate the coffin doll's killing pattern, and thus die under the law of cause and effect. West. The lizard man and the horn man wanted to stop the Scarlet Mutant, but the other party didn't give them a chance, so they opened the door and left. Looking at the companion who had already left, the two were also in a dilemma. He wanted to follow, but he didn't dare to leave because of the ominous premonition in his heart. Why are these two guys so timid? The Crimson Mutant stood at the door of the room and waited again. Originally thought that the other two companions would come out with him, but who knew they didn't act. This made him really annoyed. He didn't understand why a simple coffin could scare his two companions like this. Forget it if you don't go. I will go by myself. After I find Jiang Bai and monopolize the credit, how will you explain to the leader? Magneto is an excellent leader for mutant, but also a strict teacher. If I report the situation of my two companions to Magneto, they will definitely be punished, and my success will be even more dazzling against this backdrop. Thinking of this, the red mutant immediately wanted to set off to find Jiang Bai. But when he raised his leg, he suddenly realized something was wrong. Why can't I move? The Crimson Mutant looked down at his feet, but was surprised to find that his feet had turned into wood at some point. What? The Crimson Mutant's eyes were wide open, disbelief written all over his face. The next moment, a flame ignited in the Red Mutant's hands, and the flames were still spreading towards his feet. Although I don't understand what happened, but I also know that this should be some means of Jiang Bai and his SCP Foundation. So the Crimson Mutant immediately used its own variant ability, Flame. He planned to burn the wood covering his feet directly. My ability is setting fire, and you actually want to trap me with wood? The Red Mutant said with a proud face. In his opinion, Jiang Bai and the others actually tried to trap themselves with wood. It was wishful thinking. But when the flames spread down to burn the wood that trapped the Red Mutant, he found that not only could his flame not burn the wood, but the wood was still spreading all over his body constantly. In the blink of an eye, his entire lower body had turned into wood, and I can't feel the existence of the lower body at all. This changed the Red Mutant's expression greatly, and it was only at this time that he began to struggle. No, no. Seeing his body turning into wood bit by bit, the Scarlet Mutant finally knew to be afraid. He began to use all his strength to control his ability, trying to use the flames to burn the wood, but it didn't help at all. At this time, the originally omnipotent flame was useless at all. No matter how he struggled, no matter how hot the flames were, it couldn't have the slightest effect on his body that was gradually becoming a puppet. The puppetization seems to be spreading upwards rapidly, almost in a few breaths. More than 80% of the Red Mutant's body has been turned into a puppet. Seeing that he was about to be completely turned into a puppet, a trace of unwillingness and despair flashed in the only eyes that could still move in the Crimson Mutant. Immediately, a huge flame rushed out from his body. In an instant, the raging flames occupied the entire corridor, but because this is the headquarters of the SCP Foundation, under the strong suppression force, these flames of the Red Mutant did not cause any damage to the surrounding area at all. And after the flame absorbed the source, it immediately disappeared into the air. Only the hot air left shows that there was a terrible fire here before. A red puppet of human height appeared in front of everyone. Watching all this, Ada Wong and Natasha Romanoff all set their sights on Jiang Bai in disbelief. Is this all caused by that puppet? They've all seen coffin figures, and it's the first SCP containment they've ever seen. Although at that time, the other party also left a deep impression on them. But such a weird situation, like now, really made them feel a creepy feeling in their hearts. This is too weird, right? Not only that. Jiang Bai shook his head slowly, looking at the surveillance screen with a smile on his face. The next moment, the two mutants who were still in the room and refused to come out also rushed out. Ended.
The end?
Thanks for watching. You can find the next videos in the playlist linked in the info card or directly on my channel. And as always, if you have any feedback, feel free to share it in the comments too.